Welcome to the Wheel Route Fantasy Football Show. I'm Kev Wheeler. Good to have you here today on a Sunday afternoon. Beautiful outside, but it's rare that we get a afternoon, or it has been rare that we get an afternoon draft in the NFFC. I like to try to catch them when I can. I get to bed early because it's a school night. School starts for teachers tomorrow, and I am a high school teacher, so it's good to get one in early and not have to stay up until 10:30 at night and then be wired afterwards. But all right, so got the draft board up. We can see I am sitting in the 10 hole. I forgot to set my draft preferences beforehand, but I've been drafting from the back of the draft, and it's pretty comfortable. The one thing I would say is that really the one of the bigger benefits to drafting from the back has been what you can get in the third and late third, early fourth, except in this format, it's third round reversal. So I'm starting to think instead of being back end of the draft, being closer to the front or middle might be better, but we shall see. So far in a lot of these drafts, if you've been paying attention and watching, I've said the 5, 6, or 7 team is one of my preferred teams in each of those drafts, or I feel like they were getting discounts early in a lot of those drafts. So, we'll see. We'll see. Going from the 10 hole again, I have a feeling I'm going to be building similar teams to what I have before. So I'd like to switch it up, but I'm not going to do anything too drastic because I think my approach in those previous drafts is the right approach. So far, not. Oh, first, a little surprise. I'm on Ross St. Brown going at 7 overall. In this format, ARSB is a good pick because full PPR, and he is a target hog. But I am wondering if that target rate keeps up. Yes, same quarterback, basically the same offense, but I know there's going to be extra twists this year. And they've talked about getting Whiskey Bill more touches. That's Jamison Mills. Jameson Williams, for those that don't know. Jameis. What the heck am I talking about? Can't even think of his real name. Jameson Williams. Yes. Whiskey Bill for Williams. Oh, come on. I'm crossing my fingers that I got get my 10 hole CMC. Gonna wreck fantasy again. Watch out. He stays healthy. Debo gone. He's going to be used as a workhorse. I hope he doesn't wear down halfway through the season. But actually, in this format, it matters a little bit less because there are no playoffs. So this is a straight 17-week schedule. Best score wins overall. But there are really 2 ways to win, which makes it a flat payout structure. If you win your league, you get 800. I think second place is 400. And then there are grand prizes for the top 20 overall in the whole tournament. Grand prize is 30 grand, but they pay out extra to the top 20. I think you really want to be in the top 6 or 7 to get a real solid championship type payout. But I do like the fact that you can win your league and get money and come in second and get money. And this has been my best ROI tournament in the past 3-4 years. And not just because I hit big. All right. So I think I have Devon Achane in 4 of the 5 drafts I've done so far of this format. It's at least 3, but I'm going to get him again because my my dream start in this format is CMC and Achan. I just think Achan has a chance. I think he's going to get slightly less of a workload, or he's scheduled to get slightly less of a workload than he did last year. But I would think that would benefit his overall uh, efficiency. But I don't. I also don't see either of his backups. Whether it's the rookie or Andre Gadsden. No, that's wrong rookie. What am I thinking? Running back. Give me a second. Oh, I always blank in front of the camera. Where is it? I'm too far down. Ollie Gordon is the one I was trying to think of. And then Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright, we had high hopes for last year. Sorry, I'm looking for something in the rankings, and I just don't see Jalen Wright anywhere, and I'm just wondering. I have him buried somewhere, I'm sure. Sorry to detour. A little ADHD kicking in, a little OCD. Where the heck did Jalen Wright go? There he goes. Okay. I don't think either one of them are good enough to step up and really take control or take command, take touches away from Devon Achan in a permanent way. You'll see them split touches, maybe goal line, maybe Achan gets like less goal line work like Tyreek suggested. But maybe not. We shall see. Just want to kind of keep ahead of this. And this draft's moving a little slow. We have a 55-second clock here. So if there's anybody timing out, it will drastically slow down the draft. But it is what it is. And I will probably use a majority of the clock as we get moving along. I take time to make decisions. That's why rankings are good, though, too. The rankings I have in here, I believe, are actually a week old. Not a week old, a few days old. Oh, no. They're 2 weeks old. I need to update them. But I actually will have the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard going in the background. Anyone watching live, please like, subscribe, comment. Oh, I got to get comments up here. Are they up there? Oops. All right. Let me know you're watching. Go ahead and make suggestions. I don't mind open-ended talking. Excuse me. Get verklempt when I talk a lot. But all right, so after my Devon Achan pick, and I don't even know if I went over the first round really. Let me go back from the beginning. Starts with Jamar Chase, then Bijan, Justin Jefferson. He's creeping back up now that I guess he's still being held out of practice as far as I know for a hammy, I think it was. But as I said from the beginning, they're probably going to hold him out of all camp until after the preseason games are over and then tune him back up for week 1. So he's creeping back up. Then we had Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb. Most of those have gone in the top 6 in a various order or another. And we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I said was a little bit of a reach. Ashton Ginty, which is a little bit of a reach. Malik Neighbors, he's been going there, but I prefer my pick, Christian McCaffrey. Then we see Drake London. That's a little bit earlier than I've seen him go. Usually he's right at the turn in the second round. Then Derrick Henry, Nico Collins. I like Nico Collins. I have him right about there. Brian Thomas, and then I took Achan, and I will get back to the rest of the draft in moments. We see the 2 picks before me, Kyron Williams and Breece Hall. I am really set up for a good running back pick here, but I am going to go. I'm going to go all upside in this one. I'm trying to win the tournament, trying to go for that grand prize. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill. He's either going to be an 1,800-yard receiver or a complete bust, or he gets traded and he's 1,600, up to 2,000-yard receiver. Who knows? Like, he has the talent. I'm sure there's some diminished ability there, but he seemed to come in this year redetermined to establish his eliteness. Atticus, no problem. I will have actually updated redraft rankings. I hope to have them out by tonight, but we'll see. It'll probably be Monday. I'm gonna have it so that you will have a downloadable cheat sheet. And I would say this: as soon as it's published, get on the site now. And yeah, Tyreek was definitely going higher last year, but his, between his wrist injury and kind of, I don't want to say the drama that he brought with him, but the diva mentality didn't quite work last year because they weren't playing well and cohesively as a team. I think some of the players blame him. I think some of the players are still aggravated with him, but really, if you want to win in Miami, it's got to be Tyreek leading you there right now. If they're not going to be trying to win it all this year, if they're wow, I just realized I made a hell of a bet on Miami between Achan and Hill. But if they're not going to be competitive this year, the most likely thing they should do is trade Hill, and in which he most likely will go to a contender, somebody that can handle his diva. I don't want to call it attitude, but his, for lack of a better term, attitude. He brings a little bit of drama with him, but just like a guy like Stephon Diggs, it's usually worth the extra little bit of drama if he's, fully healthy and ready to go, which I'm hoping he is. I think people have been fading him a little bit, but to get him in the 3rd round, I think is just undeniable. Slam the draft button. All right, so I left off with my Achan pick when I was going over the picks. After I picked Achan, Chase Brown's been working his way up to the mid to early 2nd. I'm really not quite sure why. Maybe it Moss going. Maybe it Chase signed a contract. I don't know. There was other news. I don't know if he signed a contract or not. I was away in Vancouver for a week, so I still haven't updated myself on the news. My social life has commanded a lot of my time the past 10 days or so. But I'm back and focused. Get focused tonight. The school back in. Got to set my schedule, and I'll be on the ball. But Chase Brown's been creeping up ahead of Jonathan Taylor and Bucky Irvin, and I don't have it that way. I have Jonathan Taylor ranked right behind Achan, and then Bucky after him. But you'll see that when the full rankings come out. I do have best ball rankings out right now, which is a decent guide if your drafts are this weekend. Player values aren't too much different, but you'll see all of that in good time. All right, so after Achan, Chase Brown, then Puka Nacua. He's been sliding because of Stafford news. Stafford's going to play, people. And as long as Puka is healthy, I don't really care who his quarterback is. Well, as long as it's not like absolute trash on New Orleans or something. And then AJ Brown, I'm expecting him to have a really good year as long as he stays healthy. Yeah, all of these players come with a contingency of they stay if they stay healthy. So then Josh Jacobs, it's a little early for him. Jonathan Taylor, I really like that Barkley Taylor start is money. Then you have Bowers. Gibbs Bowers starts good too. Bucky Irvin, Ladd McConkey, Trey McBride. I like that. I was kind of hoping for and have been hoping for Trey McBride on that turn. Usually I hope for him to come back in the third. Then we see Kyron and Breece Hall. That's early for both of them, in my opinion. But in this format, you do see running backs cook off the board. That's why I like to start two of them. Then I took Tyreek Hill. JSN goes after that. PPR, not bad. I would have, had I not gotten Achane in that second round, and if I had gone with, let's say, a wide receiver in the second round, I would have gotten Omarion Hampton in the third. Then we see James Cook going. He is now creeping up since he signed his contract. Lamar in the mid third. This is why I'm like thinking about do you keep Josh Allen or Derrick Henry in a keeper league? It depends on which round you get to keep them and if it matters. So you can come back to me like if they're just overall keepers, fine. If you keep, I don't know, Derrick Henry in the third, or it depends on what round you get to keep him in for me. If it's dead even, it also depends on the scoring in that league. I hate to be vague like that, but there are a lot of factors that go into something like that, especially in keepers. All right, so I fell behind in what was going on, but I'm looking at Worthy or Pickens most likely. Just kind of want to see 5 quarterbacks going off the board here. I'll be with you in a second, Kyle. Got to think this through. Really, it's a matter of who do I think is going to make it around the turn, possibly. That's everybody. I don't have that up. Other type Kittle's gone. I'll go with Worthy here because I think one of the other two that I have set in my queue will make it around the turn. Kyle, when you keep them, does it matter which round you drafted them in last year? Okay. No, not where they're projected. So like in a lot of keeper leagues, if you drafted somebody in say the third round last year, you get to keep them as your second round pick this year, or your third round pick this year. So yeah, just like if it's Josh Allen in the second or Henry in the third, I would probably go with which either one's cheaper. Yeah, that's important information to know. Like if you're getting one at a super discount, then you'd probably take that one, and that's probably what I would go with. Whoever's cheaper in that instance. I mean, Derrick Henry in your home league is likely to go in the top 12 picks, but last year you might have drafted him in the second or third round. I as a general rule with those two, they're pretty even. They're pretty, strong commodities at their position, and they're likely in a home league redraft. They're probably likely. All right, so my George Pickens pick, and actually, last draft I think I took somebody. I think I took Tet over Pickens. I need to pull up my previous draft boards, but I'm gonna take. The only drawback with Pickens here is that he does have the same bye week as Worthy. Screw it. I don't think I have enough picking, so I'm gonna take a second. You guys won't even notice. I'm going to pull up my previous draft board just so I have them as a reference, just so I differentiate my teams a little bit when I have a toss-up pick. All right, so this is going to take a second. Sorry to be a bit distracted here, but it's actually valuable information for me that I want in the background, and I might flip to it as we go. So yeah, I would probably go with whichever one is cheaper in that instance. Chance, I'm thinking that like it might be you got one on the first and one on the second. You know your league better than me, probably. So, I would even look back at last year's draft and just kind of see how quick quarterbacks went off the board, how quick running backs that went off the board. And in home league drafts, generally speaking, I would bet that was kind of your 1-2 turn where you might have gotten Henry at the end of the first and Josh Allen at the beginning of the second, or vice versa. And in either case, I think I would likely pick the cheaper dude. I know my close friend, I actually drafted for him last year, had a home league draft in which he had the choice. I drafted, I think it was Chase Brown in the 10th or Bucky Irvin in the 15th. And obviously, like, we went with Bucky in the 15th just because he's cheaper. Um, yeah. So, oh, no problem, man. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Keep me up in the algorithm. Get me kicking there. Let me pull up one more draft and then I'll start going over this draft again. Just want to pull up a couple boards. I like to pull up all the boards because I'm only doing 9 of these. So I don't care about, having similar teams or similar starts, but I don't want them all to be completely identical. All right. So where did I leave off? I left off at my Tyreek pick. No, I left off. I went over JSN, Hampton. Then Cook, Lamar. I think I stopped at Lamar. So after Lamar, T. Higgins went in the 3rd. And this is why, like, so getting T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams in the late 3rd, that's about right. There's slight values. I feel the Lamar is a great value there. And actually, this is what Josh Allen in the 4th, especially in these leagues, is Josh Allen always goes in like the early to mid 3rd. I do agree with Lamar ahead of Josh Allen. He just scores more points. That's all there is to it. Usually with rushing, but I mean Lamar also had 41 passing touchdowns last year. So and really nothing has changed in the offense except people are healthier. All right, so we got those 3, and then we see Kenneth Walker in the 3rd. I like the talent of Kenneth Walker, but he hasn't practiced in a couple weeks, and he has a new coaching staff in there. His backup is more than capable. Charbonnet. I actually like Charbonnet better at his price, at cost. Joe Burrow in the 3rd is way too early for me, but I guess if you want to stack them in this, you got to do it at this turn. Then we see DJ Moore in the early 4th. That's kind of where I probably value DJ Moore in the 4th, but the general consensus is deeper in the 4th. So even at 401, I still like the pick. Josh Allen, great pick in the 4th. Mike Evans, I value as a 3rd rounder. Marvin Harrison, I guess he's the next pick by ADP, And same with McLaurin. I would feel better about them in the late 4th or 5th round. Then we see Jaden Daniels. I think 4th round's a good price for Jaden Daniels. I have actually gotten Daniels in the later 4th, but it's still anywhere in the 4th. I think that's a good value. George Kittle, it's appropriate. It's not tight end premium. And Kittle doesn't benefit all that much more from PPR than he does half point PPR. He's more of a yak guy, yardage, touchdown, but he'll be heavily targeted, at least to start the season this year, with all the wide receivers having some sort of boo-boo or disgruntledness, for lack of a better term. So Kittle, great pick in the 4th. Would have loved for him to fallen. Hurts, I think this is early for Hurts. Not too early. I prefer him in the early 5th. And it's not a stack, so not quite sure why Goldberg went with Hurts there. Then we see Travion Henderson. He's been going a little bit earlier since his preseason debut. I grabbed Worthy, and then Swift goes. I think that's still too early for Swift. I understand he's probably in line for workhorse type touches, but one, I don't think he can handle that. I don't think they truly like him. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still some sort of deal in the works to get either like a Kamara, a Breece Hall, a Travis Etienne to come to Chicago. Then Jameson Williams. That's a good tournament play. I prefer Jameson Williams in a underdog type draft where it's half PPR and mostly, it favors guys that score on big plays or get big yardage. But it's fine pick. Devontae Smith in the 5th, I really like. Cortland Sutton at this price, I like. I was very happy to get Pickens. Tet McMillan was going to be my next pick. Calvin Ridley was next in the queue after that. Then DK. All of these are kind of following where I have them, except Jerry Jeudy. I would probably have put Waddle ahead of Jeudy. RJ Harvey in the 5th. I think that's a really good price on him. And I left off at Harvey. It is my pick. Why? Oh, shoot. I'm not even in my own active draft at this point. I was pulling up old draft boards, heavily distracted. All right. I'm between Olave, Jennings, Diggs, Debo, Jordan Addison, all wide receivers up in the queue. No problem. It's really, I think I got to go Diggs in this one. He's fairly low in their ADP, though. Juwan Jennings back. You know what? I'm going to get 2 of these guys. I kind of want to secure Diggs. Leaves me open to a Drake May stack later. And it's more of a, it's best ball. So you play it boom bust. I understand. And Diggs should be peppered with targets too. We'll see. Diva. But Diggs' first year with any team usually ends up being pretty good. So looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table. Ibuka. That's a guy I need to move up right after this draft is over. Got to write down guys I need to move up. I thought I did that after last draft. Debo, good pick. Godwin a little earlier. Like, I like Godwin at the end of the 6th if he was fully healthy. I don't know how healthy he is, and I'm gonna look. Like, I have Olave in quite a few of these, I believe. I only pulled up 3, and I have Olave in 2 of them. So maybe I go with Jennings. Yeah, like this would have been my preferred Egbuka pick, but I'm gonna have to get him earlier if that's. I'm gonna go with Juwan Jennings in this one. Just like so, I will be focused on possibly getting Purdy. Do I want to get him next round? This is where I use previous week's previous draft boards. So if we look at this draft board from, I believe this was Thursday's or Friday's draft board, Purdy went at the end of the 8th, so I should be looking at getting him on the next. Yeah, and I got him at the beginning of 9th a week ago, and then I think one is from a couple of weeks ago. This is another one with Olave, but let's take a look at where Purdy went. Purdy went beginning of 9th in that one, but that's the older one. So I just need to be on the lookout for that. All right, so now I have 2 running backs and 5 receivers. This is where I want to shift to quarterback or tight end if value falls to me. Actually, I'm going to focus more on the quarterback. I am fully stacked with Purdy. Patrick Mahomes goes. That's another guy I could have. In my last draft, I went with Patrick Mahomes on that 7 turn, I believe. Was it last? It was actually at the end of the 6th. So, and you know what? That's the latest I've seen Mahomes go. 7th round, middle of the 7th. Should have had my eye on that closer. I got to tweak these rankings for my next time around. The next one of these I have planned, I believe, is 4:00 on Saturday. I think there's a draft. I was going to do one on Thursday, but I believe my school is going to have back to school night. I probably should check my email on that. But back to school night would end right at 8, so I'd have to rush home and scramble and all of that, and that's not what I'm looking forward to doing. So I left off before. As far as I went Waddle, I talked about Waddle, but I really left out Harvey. Chuba Hubbard at the end of the 5th. I don't get the allure on Hubbard. There's no real upside week to week on him. Enrico Dowdle and Trevor Etienne could severely cap Chuba's upside. Chuba was default, bell cow last year, so that's why he got so much usage and points. After that, Rashee Rice, I am hoping he falls a little bit further. If I see Rashee Rice falling to the 6th, I'd be content. Even that 5'11" ain't bad. Then we see Jalen Waddle. That's a great value. Alvin Kamara, good value. James Conner. Matthew Golden, good value. Travis Hunter, sensational value. Actually, yeah, I didn't have a chance for him. Then Rome Odunze, Travis Kelce. That's way too early, in my opinion. On Kelce, I don't look at Kelce until the 8th, 9th round at the earliest. Caleb Johnson, way too early on him. I have Caleb Johnson and Jaylen Warren about even. In fact, I would probably draft Warren straight up before Caleb Johnson. Then we had David Montgomery go. I think he is a good value. That's right about where he should be going, 6th round. Ricky Pearsall, good value. I reached a bit for Diggs. Should have grabbed Egbuka. Godwin, that's a little bit early for him with all of his being on. He's probably going to start the season on the pup. I wouldn't be surprised if Godwin misses the first 4 games at a minimum. Then we see Devo go. I like that pick. I prefer him in a stack, but still a value in the 7th. Baker Mayfield, it's a little early. Quarterbacks do generally go earlier in this format, but we are seeing them trickle down. So that Mayfield pick, he he stacked him with Igbuka, but I don't think he really needed to do that. I went with Juwan Jennings, kind of a double condom safe pick, I think. Then Pacheco and Pollard go. I was looking at those running backs, but maybe I should have looked at Mahomes in the seventh. That might have slipped past me. Aaron Jones in the seventh. Okay, ho hum. Doesn't really turn me on. Lots of running backs going here. Sam Laporta goes after that. It's probably value, but not. He's got to hit his upside to pay off the. Well, I guess he's the tight end 5 here, but usually the tight end 4. He's got to be a little bit more consistent. I don't see him getting his target share decline from year 1 to year 2, and I don't see it going up anytime soon. Jordan Addison going to miss the first 3 games, but still a pretty good pick because he does have upside. Jacoby Myers, great steady floor. Big fan of Jacoby Myers. Think he is basically perennially undervalued. Khalil Shakir in a PPR format, fine, but that ball is going to get spread around. Chris Olave at the end of the 7th, I think, is an extreme value. Again, I've drafted him in a majority of these drafts, so I let him go, but that's a super value. Jalen Warren, yeah, he's creeping up like he should. TJ Hawkinson, that's a good value in the 8th. I think Hawkinson, Andrews, and Laporta are definitely their own tier. And actually, there's another tight end I would throw in the mix with them. Joe Mixon, that's too early for him. I understand, like, even if he pups or, holds out a few games, he should be good at the end of the season. But this is cumulative points, so I'm not so happy with that. All right, so we see Evan Ingram go. We've seen a lot of tight ends go, not a lot of quarterbacks. So my next tight end that I like is Tyler Warren. Let me just check if any other San Francisco. I think Purdy can make it back around the turn with Kyler Murray and Justin Fields there. So I'm going to grab a tight end here. Oh, wait. I have McCaffrey and Jennings. Why did I think I had Kittle? Either way, I'm going to go Tyler Warren here. I think he has Laporta, Kittle, rookie-esque type upside. Not Brock Bowers type upside. And now I'm reconsidering. Well, I'm gonna get Purdy at the turn if he's available. Just he does stack well with McCaffrey. Just kind of looking at what else I could go with. There's really not that many options, technically speaking. So I got. Ooh, I would love to get. Oh, you son of a biscuit! All right, so Kyler Murray, I don't have anything to stack with. I've gotten Justin Fields in a ton of these. I am actually I'm going to get a quarterback here. I wanted Purdy. He had no reason to pick Purdy. No reason whatsoever. But I'll stack my George Pickens with Dak Prescott. And if either Kyler Murray or Justin Fields come back, I will get them, but I also have another quarterback stack that probably won't make it back. But yeah, quarterbacks are going to start to fly here. I might have wanted to. I'm happy with the Tyler Warren pick. I think Tyler Warren could finish the year as the tight end 4 overall, with a weekly upside of, he'll have a couple of tight end 1 overall weeks. Hopefully. Hopefully. All right. So I had left off. Where did I leave off? At Hawkinson or Joe Mixon. Yeah, I think the 8th round is still too early for Mixon. I understand there's RB1 upside, like a top 12 RB upside in the second half of the year, but is there? I don't. I think Mixon is on the decline if he even comes back. There's rumors that he doesn't. I think he does. I think Mixon probably misses maybe the first 4 weeks, and it takes him a couple of weeks to get in tuned, or even doesn't matter how much he misses. He's not going to be full Mixon until October. And then how long does he stay full Mixon? Even if he can come back to his full capacity. But like if I see him in the double-digit rounds, as soon as I see Mixon in the 10th round, I'm good. 8th is still. I mean, I guess if you need a running back or think you need a running back, that isn't a bad 3rd. But as we can see, my 3rd running back is going to come in the double-digit rounds at the earliest. And then Travis Etienne after him. I don't mind that, but I would probably have gone with Tyrone Tracy before Etienne. Mark Andrews I like as a pick in the 8th round. Cooper Kupp, I feel like that's early, but I guess PPR, fine. I guess the allure of Kupp is that most of his points are going to count, and he should get those points at the beginning of the season. He's probably not. He's probably going higher here than in Underdog because of PPR. And, Underdog, you want end of season production. You don't really care too much about beginning of season production. Then B-Rob goes in the 8th. I think that's early for him. Ingram, I think that was a bit early. I prefer Tyler Warren. That is why I got Tyler Warren, is really that triggered the Ingram going. Maybe I should have grabbed Purdy and hope Warren came back to me. But the difference between Purdy and Dak isn't that drastic. It's just that Purdy I had double stacked with Jennings and McCaffrey. Jordan Mason goes. I guess that's appropriate. It's kind of the no upside back. I don't really like Mason in best ball that much. Jared Goff, I feel like that's super early for him. And a lot of quarterbacks are going to go in this 9th round that I think don't need to. I think the order they're drafted in is drastically off of my rankings. I can tell you that. So Goff, I have way down in the teens. Definitely Goff below Purdy, Prescott, Nix, Murray, Caleb, Fields. I have Goff in the Love Herbert range. I think I have Goff above Love and Herbert, but only because ADP does. So, like, if you want Goff, you have to draft them there. In the rankings I have coming out, they're going to be the way I would draft in your redraft leagues. So I'm going to have Goff a whole lot lower than that. We see Quinshon Judkins go in that early 9th round. I think that's a reach. I don't expect Judkins to come back to. I don't expect Judkins to be treated like a 2nd round rookie pick, getting priority over the washed out veteran or the 4th round rookie pick. I think Judkins have set himself back, not practicing at all so far, not even being signed with the team. I haven't heard any news today. Of course, I haven't looked at the news today. I've been busy with other things, but yeah, I'm not going to touch Judkins until, well, I guess this range, just kind of after, definitely after Charbonnet. I think a couple of these running backs are going a little bit later, but I would have Judkins actually. I think I have Judkins maybe even behind Dylan Sampson still. I'll have to double check that. I was looking at it last night, and actually I could probably, because I did go over running backs. I think my running backs are set. I need a second check on it, but I'll pull up my rankings really quickly. All right, Drake May went. That's gonna be disappointing to me. All right, I kind of need to focus a little bit on who I am drafting next. Shoot. Let me just look at quarterback. Don't know if I have any stacks available. Oh, just looking things over, and the next in queue are receivers. I don't really, not dying for a receiver. I don't have a stack for him yet, but I'm just going to go with Trevor Lawrence just because that. So I definitely have Trevor Lawrence ahead of Stroud. And actually, I could look at my rankings real quick. Quarterback, I am pretty set on. Yeah. So I have Lawrence ahead of Herbert, Goff, Stroud, Love, McCarthy. So I just grabbed some value there. Wow, Kyle Pitts in the 10th. He must have gotten some hype recently. I know like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, he was getting hype, but I haven't seen Pitts go in the 10th, I don't think. Oh, am I showing the wrong draft board? Goodness. I'm showing the wrong draft board the whole time. Y'all gotta correct me on that. Shoot. All right. So now you can see the draft board. I went with Lawrence. I'll go back over that 9th round that I was talking about before my Lawrence pick. We see Stafford go, Rashid White. Nobody I am really looking at. Draft wizard up. Pull that up in a minute. Probably going to come back with a running back here. It's a bit of a reach, I think, at running back here. But it's a stack with my Lawrence pick, and I'm just going to go Bashal Tootin. It's probably quite a bit earlier than I need to pick him. Maybe not. I guess it's right around. There's a couple running backs I have in the queue ahead of him, but I'm not. My obviously in a real draft, I'm going to move him up a little bit more. Just because I like his week to week upside, and that's right too. I was listening. Evan Silva was on the ETR podcast earlier, and they were talking about their sleepers. And Tootin's been a kind of a sleeper pick for a lot of people this year. So I guess he's not totally a sleeper. I do think this is in the 120s is a little bit early for him. I think he's going an underdog. I think he's going in the 130s. But actually, shoot, I did not mean to clear. Where'd it go? No, I got that. Okay. Sorry. I'm looking at two different things here as well. So, Tootin, I can look right now. I have Tootin lower in my ranks than I should. lower in my ranks than I should. I might move. Oh, of course, these are redraft ranks, so I would have to look at my best ball ranks, and I'm not going to distract from that at this point. Where am I? All right, so let me go backtrack a little bit, because I was showing a older draft board after my Prescott pick. So after my Prescott pick, we see a slew of quarterbacks start to go off the board. Bo Nix, Kyler Murray, Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, I like in redraft more than best ball. In redraft, you can cut him if he loses his job or if he just sucks. Best ball, you're stuck with him. So, like, I'm not looking at Javonte until after a few of these guys that get picked in front of him. We see Caleb Williams, and I got these big stickers up so you can see each pick as they come. Christian Kirk moving up boards. I think that's a good PPR pick. Christian Kirk much better in PPR than half point. Then we see Drake May, which I I'm sorry. I got off track there. So let me get back here. Javonte, Caleb Williams goes, Jaden Reed goes, Justin Fields. I contemplated Fields at that Prescott pick, and I do have Fields ranked much higher, but I have a ton of Fields so far, and was kind of hoping that maybe the fear on him had reached more people and he would drop. Jordan Love, I like the pick. It's not bad if you've got a stack, and I don't know, a Matthew Golden stack. Okay, fair enough. Justin Herbert, yeah, I think he's undervalued as well. Zach Charbonnet, love that pick. Think that's a fantastic pick. Would really have liked him to fall back to me. No chance of that. Cam Scattaboo, injured rookie. I guess in the 10th in this format, not horrible. And as his fourth running back, yeah, that's just fine. David Njoku, he's been slipping a little bit. Not quite sure why. Maybe his quarterback situation, I guess. JJ McCarthy, I like that pick. I do not like him necessarily ahead of others. And he's the Justin Jefferson stack. Okay, so he double stack. He's got stacks for each of his quarterbacks. He comes back with Kraft later. O'Brien's knows what he's doing in this draft. The only pick O'Brien has taken that I've questioned, really, I guess Hubbard and Mixon, they kind of go hand in hand, though, right? The complete floor pick, complete ceiling pick. All right, but anyway, Drake May, Christian Kirk I talked about, Najee Harris. I like that there. I think people are sleeping on Harris because of the eye injury. Ramondre Stevenson. That pairs with, oh, no, it doesn't. Yeah, not too keen on him. I think Stevenson does get touches, but none of the high value touches. We see Keon Coleman. I think he's having a good camp. I think he's in tune for a good year. I think people slept on his production last year. He was actually good when he did play it. He started to come on anyway. Remember, he was a rookie last year. Rookies come on slow, especially in an offense that spreads the ball around. But then he got banged up, and we didn't get to really see the full Keon Coleman experience. CJ Stroud, I think that was early on him. Trevor Lawrence, I only took because it was a value. Have him ahead of a lot of those guys. Then I talked about Pitts, Rashid White. He could lose the backup role really easily. So I think that's early on White. I liked him before his ankle turn, but it looks like he's out until next week or the week after. Then Stafford, I think that's a little early. I would have preferred Cam Ward. I took Tootin to stack with Lawrence because I'll grab one of Lawrence's receivers later, and maybe his tight end. Get him stacked up a little bit. Pittman, I think, is a value in the 11th. Josh Downs, I was definitely contemplating to kind of go with Warren as a sixth receiver, but I was worried about falling behind a quarterback. And wanted that Tootin stack. Then we see Darnell Mooney. I think that's a good best ball pick. J.K. Dobbins, fine. Fourth running back. Yeah, okay. I think he should have. Team 6 should be more focused on receiver at this point, and we can see he goes receiver next. Marvin Mims, we talked about last draft. I like his upside if he's going to play, a majority of the offensive snaps. He was only used in a handful of snaps each game last year. If he starts to see a majority of snaps, wow, like the ceiling is through the roof. Rashid Shaheed, wow, sleeper. Great pick there. Yeah, I might need to switch up my philosophy, so I'm drafting wide receivers in this 10th, 11th, 12th round. All right, it's back to me. Tanks Bigsby just went off the board. Let me see. So very glad to have a 55-second clock in here. Quarterbacks, Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson. Running backs, Tajay Spears or Dylan Sampson. Receivers, Ayuk or Burden. Man, if I had Purdy, I would definitely go Ayuk there. Tight ends, Brenton Strange is sitting there, but I feel like that's early. I think I'm going to go with luxury pick Luther Burden. I think Luther Burden is the next. What was I going to say? Luther Burden is the next OBJ. Start out slow, a little bit hobbled, can't quite get on the field, come on the field, get on the field, possibly in a substantial role, say week 6. Between week 6 and week 8, he gets more of a substantial role and just bursts onto the scene and breaks fantasy football for the 2025 season. Love to see it. For anybody watching, please please subscribe. Hit those notifications so you know when I'm going on. Usually it kind of is a last-second decision to do so. So get that notification when I do come on. And please retweet, reskeet, repost, let people know. And after the video, during the video or after the video is over, please comment there. Ooh, all right, 2 tight ends go. I was really looking at quarterback. Let me just see. Yeah, 13. What round are we in? We're in the 13th. I really want to grab the tight end to stack with Lawrence, but there's only 2 quarterbacks left worth. Love Bryce Young, but don't have any of his stacks and don't quite think he presents the major upside of Anthony Richardson. Even if I need to pull up his stats. Where do I want to look here? So I believe it was Anthony Richardson started in 8 games last year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it hasn't playing anymore. It's hard to tell by his attempts. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He played in 11 games last year. He had a top 10 finish in 3 of those games. 2 of those were a top 4 finish. Depends on the scoring, I guess. Yeah, it's standard. Anyway, Evan Silva, I believe, was saying before that he started 10 and he was top 10 in 4 of them. The way I see it here, he's top 10 in 3 of them. out of 11, but maybe he didn't start one of those, which is distinctly possible. Either way, he has, top 6 quarterback upside. And there's a lot more about Anthony Richardson. Bryce Young goes right after Anthony Richardson. Actually, let me come back to Anthony Richardson. Let me pick up where I left off when I was rattling off the picks. I believe it was Rashid Shaheed. After Rashid Shaheed, I want to try to get caught up to the actual picks so that I'm not backtracking. After Rashid Shaheed went at the, 9th pick of the 11th round, we see Tucker Kraft. That gets stacked with Love and Golden. This team 3 has really got something going. Really got something going there. Then we see Kincaid go. I think it's a pretty good tight end pick this year. I think Kincaid has quite a bit of upside. And let me just check something. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Then we see Colston Loveland. I think in the 11th round, Colston Loveland's a pretty darn good value. I actually considered him at an earlier pick. I want to see the Lawrence pick. There was just too many quarterbacks going off the board. So in the beginning of the 12th, we see Tua, then Trey Benson, stack cuff Connor with Benson. I don't. Okay. See, Benson is one of those guys that he seems to be absolutely in line for the RB2 touches, and they're talking about him being the 1B and splitting touches with Connor this year, which I think is a smart move. But when Benson had the chance last year, he really did nothing with it, or not much with it. He was outplayed by Amari DiMaccardo. Don't know how I feel about that. Then we see Jake Ferguson go. I would have loved Jake to stack with Dak. Why wasn't I looking at that? I want to make a note of that. Jake Ferg. Up. Igbuka. Up. Then we see Michael Penix, Wan'Dale Robinson in the 12th. I think that's early based on ADP, but I think it's a smart pick in PPR best ball. He was targeted 140 times last year. That can't be right. That's just every time I think it just feels wrong. I'm going to double check on that. It had to be less than 140, right? That's astronomical. There's no way he was targeted 140 times and is going this low. I can't even see him in my rankings right now. Wan'Dale Robinson. There we go. Sorry, and now picks are running off the board here. People, take more of the clock so I can get caught up. No, that's not what I want. I want stats. Game log. Yeah, he had 140 targets last year, Wan'Dale Robinson. Well, that's where I'm leaving off for now. Let me take a look. Definitely not getting quarterback. Running back looks fairly depleted. Just want to make sure I'm on the default list. Substantially higher in the rankings that I want them. Brenton Strange went too. Likely I am in Arroyo. Oh man, I'm gonna reach on a stack here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna sneak in the Cowboys kicker. Little bit early, but the Cowboys kicker stands out, and it's team kicker in this format. I think he's the one kicker that sticks out as a guarantee, and I think it's a decent stack cuff kind of thing with Dak. So even if Dak doesn't get the touchdown or the Cowboys don't get the touchdown, I get 3 for the field goal, kind of a hedge. And I think he sticks out above the rest. So I would like to go tight end here, but I don't think there's any real tight ends worth reaching for. I don't have a stack with anybody. So receiver, the guy I have in queue is a stack, but don't think he should be going this early. I think I'm going to grab him anyway, just because I was not really prepared for this pick. The running backs are nothing to write home about. I should be able to get the guys I want a little bit later. I'm just going to get my Jacksonville stack completed since I didn't get Brenton Strange. Really, the one I missed out, instead of Luther Burden, I should have gotten Jake Ferguson. Oh, no, I couldn't. It would have been instead of Tootin. So after Tootin, we see Dobbins, Benson, and Bigsby go. I don't know. Tootin might have made it back. It was a long way, though, so I wasn't quite sure of that. All right. I left off at Trey Benson or Jake Ferguson. Yeah, I was complaining about not getting Jake Ferguson. Oh, no, I left off at Wan'Dale Robinson. After Robinson, Bateman goes. I let Bateman in the 12th, I think, is a value. Sam Darnold. When he went off the board, that's when I started to sweat quarterback. I have both Bryce Young, Geno Smith, and Anthony Richardson ahead of Darnold. But with your third quarterback, and with your well, I guess it was his second quarterback, where he's going floor in the 7-hole with those Darnold Rodgers at quarterback. I don't even think there's a solid floor there. He's really going to be Mahomes reliant. But I like to shoot for upside with my third quarterback, so I don't feel the need to get a fourth. All right, where Bateman went, Darnold, Jaden Higgins, great pick in the 12th. I feel like I got him in like the 14th round of a draft. Here, 13th round. Yeah, he just goes late in this format, and it's usually a nice falling value. Although I feel as though Burden, I talked about him being the next OBJ. Then Zach Ertz, Goddard, and Henry come off the board. Maybe I should have gone tight end instead of Anthony Richardson. But what would I have been? I might have gotten Anthony Richardson on the bounce back, maybe. But I don't think so. I think people are keen to him. I feel like Anthony Richardson's going to start at least 8 games. I really think he will be healthy and good to go. So I think he'll be healthy enough to play in 8 games. I think he has top 6 quarterback upside in 4 of those games. I think ETR was saying even whenever he starts, they're going to have him ranked as the QB8 or higher. So, if he's QB8 or higher in projections, that's what Silva was saying. He scored over 20 points in 4 of 10 games. That's what I can go over. That was the number. And I'll double check that to make sure. So game log, Anthony Richardson, points 27, 28, 23. Yeah, he was over 21 points, I guess, depending on your scoring system, in 4 of the 11 games. I think that even improves this year. Anthony Richardson was working with the quarterback coach that helped Josh Allen after his second year. Josh Allen had like a 50 some odd completion percentage until he worked with this guy, and it bumped up to over 60%. So hoping for the same thing. And really, Anthony Richards' problem is throwing short passes. And he said repeatedly that that's what he focused on all offseason, was throwing short passes on slant routes, digs, out routes, and screen passes. So I'm expecting vast improvement out of Anthony Richardson. And I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Richardson plays. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts every game he's healthy. I'm not going to predict that he's healthy for every game, but I'm hoping he starts 12 games and maybe he's a top 6 quarterbacks in half of them. After Richardson, Young, Trey Harris, Tajay Spears, I like a lot more than most people. Was tempted to draft him in that Tootin range. Probably, I draft him ahead of Tootin in most drafts. His ankle injury has scared people, so I've been letting him slide and drafting him late. Keenan Allen is another guy I need to make sure I move up in my rankings. Definite value in the 13th. Braylon Allen, good pick in the 13th. Dylan Sampson, great pick in the 13th. Geno Smith, awesome in the 13th. Ayuk, huge. He's going to be on the pup for 6 weeks, but after those 6 weeks, he could be a wide receiver 1 most weeks. Romeo Doubs ends the 13th round. And let me I need to pull up some things here so that I'm not scrambling every time I pick, even though I'm scrambling right now. All right. Excuse me while I pull up the Draft Wizard app. And again, the Draft Wizard app on Fantasy Pros is a great tool. I highly recommend using particular rankings from certain players. I would not use just the expert consensus. Yeah, expert consensus is a lot of guys who have just updated ranks recently and not the true top experts all of the time. So I put my own rankings in there and they're set. Just want to look here, kind of update that. I think I might go with likely. I got 25 seconds left. Likely still there. Put them in queue. Wide receiver. Nothing standing out. Running back. Auto drafted for me. A little slow on that. Likely not healthy to start the season, but should provide some boom weeks. Like the pick, think it's a value, especially after guys like Freiermuth. Okonkwo could be good, but watch out for Gunnar Helm snagging some of Okonkwo's thunder. After Gesicki, after Jonnu Smith, even after Brenton Strange, Isaiah Likely, I think, is a rather large value in the 16th round. Not against, just going to look at tight end. There's a couple tight ends there that are appealing, but none of them are stacks. Let me look at the draft assistant real quick. All right, Russell Wilson goes after that. Let me see. So the next few running back and wide receiver picks are picks that have been shooting up boards lately. I think I'm going to do a little reaching on a running back that I think is being quite undervalued right now. Let me just keep looking actually for a second since I'm going to use the whole clock since I have it. I don't want to say names at this point because, well, person watching, if you are, you're not. Okay. So it's either Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, he wants to be called Bill, just Bill, or Woody Marks. I'm going to go with Woody Marks just because, well, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt is a 7th rounder. Marks is he? Yeah, he's a 5th rounder, I think. Either way, Woody Marks wasn't very high. He didn't have good scores on his athleticism or his production. Um, he's almost strictly a pass catching back, but I think that role is wide open for him. I see no reason why he won't start day one as their pass catching back. And he could very well be the running back used in 2-minute drill, and that's exactly who you want. There's not going to be a great running game there if Mixon, even if Mixon is healthy. I think they're going to mostly pass, and I would think they would use Woody Marks over either Mixon, especially Chubb, or Dameon Pierce in that offense. So I've been drafting him. Reaching for somebody in the 17th round, no big deal. No big deal. Although I'm trying to think, where did I get him in the last draft? I got him in the 15th. So I got him a little bit later in this draft, I think. Is that right? Got him in the 15th last draft. This was 17th. Good job, Wheeler. All right. So I should look running back for the next few picks, judging by my last draft. But I also need to be looking at the defenses. I want to get 3 defenses and need to judge as they go off the board where I'm going to get them. Yeah, 18th, 19th looks like kind of the spot to grab 2 defenses, but we shall see. They aren't going too quick. I'm going to grab at least 1 defense on the turn. Maybe I should jam 2 just to lock in options for the next turn. All right, I'm going to queue up a couple of those running backs that I like a lot that have been really shooting up draft boards. They were sleepers for me in the 20th round or later, but they've been shooting up boards. And let me think. I do have Prescott stacked. I have Lawrence stacked enough. I have Richardson stacked with Warren. So my wide receivers that I'll grab late are either going to be Richardson stacks or just guys I'm high on. So I can really wait at wide receiver. I have 7. I'll probably end up with 9 wide receivers, and I will wait on those. I should probably grab a couple of running backs next and maybe a tight end, depending on how quickly they go. I fell way behind on reviewing the picks. I stopped at Romeo Doubs. So starting the 14th, Jaden Blue, Cedric Tillman, I think, is a great value. I think Cedric Tillman is in line for a fantastic year. Broncos defense, Demario Douglas and PPR, great value in the 14th. He stacked them with May. I really wanted to stack May with Diggs and would have loved Douglas on that stack. Just see Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt go in the 18th. So I'm still in the 14th reviewing. Eagles defense, Nick Chubb, Pittsburgh Steelers, Brenton Strange gets snagged before I can take him. Ray Davis, Dallas Cowboys, Austin Eckler, Jalen McMillan are the 14th round. I think that's way early for McMillan. I do like Eckler. I feel like he's so maybe I'm reading this wrong. Actually, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is supposed to be the Brian Robinson replacement, not so much Eckler. So I think Eckler's being a little bit slept on. Although 14th round Eckler, actually 14th round Ray Davis is a nice value pick as well. All right, let me get back to my 18th round. People are picking quick today. It must be because it's an afternoon draft. But here we go. I got Woody. What's the assistant telling me? Actually, here we go. So the assistant still has, that's underdog. Oh, it's not the assistant. It's my rank, or one of my. That's underdog. Okay. So let me flip to. Ooh. All right. You know what? I'm going to judge by. Yeah, I can wait on tight end. Clock. Clock. I should probably go. I'm going to go with defense. I'm just going to go with the Cowboys defense just to grab one defense and give myself a little extra time. Might grab running back on the way back, though. Oh, no. Well, how many defenses are off the board? Let's switch this to that. Ooh. Sorry about the silence. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Get a little background music on so we're not sitting in silence. All right. Let's see the Patriots defense go. If I grabbed another defense, that's where I was going. Could go with Seattle there, though, as well. Or do I want to go with a running back? I think, and it's a matter of which running back, too. Yeah, I'm going to go with Giddens. There's a couple other running backs that I probably should have looked at first. Well, Ollie Gordon's shooting up. I like DJ Giddens at the. So I'm really high on Jonathan Taylor, but he does have a history of getting banged up, missing a few games. DJ Giddens has. It sounds like he's truly established himself as the backup. He came out with a good production profile. It's probably still early on him, but I guess he could have come back. There's two other running backs I have in my queue that I hope to see on the way back, and I might only need to do one defense again. I want a total of 3 defenses, and I don't want total scrub defenses. So I just want to pace that out so that I'm not sweating a little bit, but not too much for that third defense. I'm going to actually throw a couple of them in the queue. Just want to make sure I'm not crossing up bye weeks. So let's do this. All right. Couple running backs, couple defenses queued up for next round. There's definitely wide receivers still lingering that I like, but I'm probably going to just wait on that because I have 7. Yeah, the Giddens pick wasn't great, but all right, so I left off the end of the 14th. Let me try to get through a few rounds here. 15th, we see Adam Thielen, Jack Besh. I picked Naomi Brown as a stack. Now that I see the people going around him, I'm not too displeased with that. It was a bit of a stretch, but actually, Josh Palmer and Naomi Brown are probably relatively equivalent. So I'm not Leggett, yeah, maybe. Michael Wilson, 15th, that's early. I've been grabbing Michael Wilson a little bit later, I feel. Maybe not. I'll have to double check on that. We see Aaron Rodgers and the Baltimore Ravens defense go. Isaac Orendo, Jalen Wright. Talked about him earlier. We had high hopes for Jalen Wright last year, and he disappointed. And I don't see him really emerging ahead of Ollie Gordon or, cutting into the Achane role at all. So we shall see. Tyler Algier, great hedge against Bijan, but he gets taken here as a little stack cuff. You don't lose much value with a stack cuff in the 15th, but I'm not sure he's optimizing. See Kyle Williams go. He's been falling, but I'm not sure why actually either. I'm not high. I don't think Kyle Williams is very good, but in that offense, he's probably going to at least be a starting receiver in the second half of the year or split touches with Boutte for most of the season. Will Shipley in the 16th, great pick. That was before I started back at running back. So we see DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's a great pick in the 16th. Jonnu Smith goes. We talked about these tight ends. Vikings defense, Gesicki, Flacco in the 16th is a real reach as far as I'm concerned. That's why I get quarterbacks early and maybe reach a little bit on my own. But then we see Texans defense, Pat Freiermuth, Chigakonkwo, and then I grabbed Isaiah Likely. When he's healthy, he should emerge as a slot receiver in the Ravens offense rather than like a inline tight end. Then we see Russell Wilson and Cade Otton go. San Francisco's defense, Chargers defense, I took Woody Marks. In the 17th, Rico Dowdle, Mason Taylor in the 17th, I think is a better pick than most of the ones that went in the 16th, most of the tight ends that went in the 16th. Jerome Ford at 17.6, and I'm going to pause there for a second because it is almost my pick. Not too many defenses come off the board. My running backs that I like are still there. I'm going to grab Taj Brooks because I definitely do not want him to disappear. And I have quite a bit of my other running back, so hopefully he makes it back. So Taj Brooks sounds like he's really establishing himself as the backup in Cincinnati. I think I don't want to say he's as talented as Chase Brown, but it's close. It's got to be close. So I'm excited about Taj Brooks. Let's just see if they have anything. Didn't do great in the preseason game. Chase Brown played 11 of 15 slaps with first team offense. P. Ryan taking the other ones. P. Ryan's going to be steady Eddie in that backfield, but Neither appeared to play at all after. So Taj Brooks played in a 3-down role for much of the game. They like his skill set. Heck, I don't even think Chase Brown got that much usage in preseason last year. So optimistic about that. All right, so coming back, I'm going to grab a defense just to CYA because they are running out. And I could be hurting for a defense next time around. I should have gotten a defense there instead of Taj Brooks just to get a better gauge on. No, I'm going to have to sweat it. So, and I might end up with like a super crappy defense. But I won't mix up bye weeks either way. So the reason I want 3 defenses is it's definitely been proven time and again. I wrote of his years ago, even back in the MFL 10 days, and by various people since. Pretty much all of the onesie positions, quarterback, tight end, kicker, defense, you want, technically it's like 2.6 of each position is optimal. Meaning weekly scoring, week to week, you really want 3 in there because there's always going to be down weeks where you have a down week for both of them, or whether it's bye weeks and you're relying on one, you get a bye week, a quarterback or defense or whatever onesie position plays against a tough opponent, you could be zeroed out quite easily if you leave it to 2. And then 4 is a bit of overkill, except for tight end, especially in this format. 30 rounds getting a 4th tight end, even a 4th quarterback at times, never a 4th defense or kicker. But 3 at those onesie positions seems to be optimal since we can't draft 2.5 of anything, or a half of anything, I should say. All right, so let me just squeeze these defenses up here, even though I got any defense could make it around the turn, and just want to look at running back. I'll save those to late. Sorry, I'm thinking to myself. Just don't want anybody. All right, I'm going to make a solid attempt to get caught up here. So I left off, what was it? In the 17th with Jerome Ford, right? After Jerome Ford in the 17th, we get Quentin Johnson at 17-7. It's not a bad pick in the 17th. Andre Yoshivas, I have 0 of him and plan to keep it that way. Buffalo Bills defense, Blake Corum. I feel like I've gotten Corum much, much later. Jalen Coker creeping up draft boards. Jalen Coker could end up being the starter in 3 wide receiver sets for them. Not so sure he could beat out Leggett. Although Darius Slayton in the 17th should have gone before many of those. Darius Slayton is going to probably play 80 to 90% of the Giants' snaps. He should be involved in all 2 wide receiver sets. And he's a big play guy, and they have deep ball throwers at quarterback to launch it. All 3 of their quarterbacks are deep ball throwers. So Slayton should thrive this year, and they just signed him to a big contract. In the 18th, we have a slew of defenses starting with Kansas City, Detroit, and Green Bay Packers. Then JCM, otherwise known as Bill. I talked about him and liking him earlier. He was on my radar when it was between JCM and Woody Marks when I took Woody Marks. Then we see the Chargers kicker. So kickers are starting too. Tyler Lockett, good PPR guy. Detroit Lions kicker. Jets defense. Rams defense. I took the Cowboys defense. Then we see Dalton Schultz go. That's a 6-point floor every week. Good luck with that. Then Justice Hill and Kareem Hunt. Justice Hill provides a nice floor. I guess Kareem Hunt does for a few weeks as well. I timed out and drafted him in a it was a charity draft. No big deal, but really kind of shot myself in the foot with that one. And then we see the Patriots defense, which I would have liked and I would have gotten. But then I took J.D. Giddens, and I will come back after that pick. So there are 4 defenses left. None of them are any good. Nobody will take a defense around that turn. So I am going to grab, and probably I should probably grab a kicker. Nah, I'll wait on kicker. I'm going to reach for my magic sleeper tight end that I was getting in the late 20s earlier in draft season, but he has been shooting upwards since his performance in one of the preseason games. Keaton Mitchell, a lot of his value is contingent. He's not going to see many touches with Derrick Henry and Justice Hill in there, but he's super explosive, so he doesn't need many touches. If he ends up with 5 touches a game, whether it's receiving or running, that might be all he needs to break a big one. I'm hoping for 5 to 7 touches a game to start, let him break a few, get him intertwined with Henry in the offense, maybe taking 10 to 12 touches by the end of the season. But really, I'm just looking for big play. And out of these, but I have 4 rookie running backs and 2 second-year running backs, something like that, third-year running back. And McCaffrey. I'm pretty good at running back for now. I might grab one super, super late. Oh, we're getting super, super late. Looks like my next 3 picks are likely. Whoa, no, I got to grab a defense and then 3 kickers or 2 kickers. I already got one. Okay, so then I'll probably get 2 receivers, 1 or 2 tight ends, 1 running back. Let me look at so it's definitely defense with my next pick. I'll take Jacksonville. Little counter stack. I don't necessarily stack my defense with my quarterbacks. Actually, I'm more likely to stack defenses with running back. Like they found correlation in daily fantasy between defense and running back. But regardless, it's just fill in bye weeks and gaps. So we're done with defense. Get those out of queue. I shouldn't look. There's one receiver looking at me, just staring me in the face. Rookie. But I really should focus on kicker. I can't get Cincy since I have a week 10 bye there. See the Ravens kicker ranked highly. No more Tucker. Just nasty boy. Why y'all with money gotta mess with these little girls that are just trying to do their job? Shameful, hypocritical. All right, so just want to queue up a couple of kickers. None of these are particularly standing out, but it's just, again, fill in bye weeks. My Dallas kicker should dominate most weeks, and I could probably just go with 2, but I'm going to stick with the numbers. So one of the tight ends I like to get late, Taysom Hill, just went off the board. And where did I leave off? I left off at J.D. Giddens. I'm still 4 rounds behind. So in the 19th, after I picked Giddens, Ollie Gordon went. Pat Bryant went. Seattle Seahawks, Cole Kmet, maybe. Bears defense, Buccaneers defense, Pittsburgh's kicker, Giants defense, Houston kicker, Colts defense, Commanders defense, Roschon Johnson. I think Roschon Johnson in the 20th is a fantastic pick. In fact, I need to make sure. Actually, he was top of my queue there for a while. I was drafting a ton of Roschon early. Reports came back that he wasn't performing up to expectations at camp. But the latest on Monangai is that it was either in the preseason game, I think it was in a preseason game or one of those inter-squad scrimmages. They put him in to pass protect, and he got blown up like 8 times in a row. If you can't pass protect in the NFL, they are not going to put you in on passing downs, especially when you have I don't want to say immobile, but a pocket quarterback. All right. Sidetracked. Not a bad thing, though. That was Roschon. Then Juwan Johnson. Would have liked him at tight end. Like him as a late tight end. Jackson Dart, like him as a late quarterback. I think he was going earlier in draft season, though. Kansas City kicker. Excuse me. Noah Gray. I think that's a stretch. Unless he also has Kelsey and he's just stack up and he has Kittle. I see where he's kind of super going against the Kelsey. He's hedging against, or betting against Kelsey. I shouldn't say hedging there. That's inappropriate. No Gray. Daniel Jones. I think he's trash. Won't do anything even if he does get a start. Browns defense. I took Taj Brooks. Maybe I should have grabbed. Oh, I was smart not to grab a defense there and get the guy I wanted. Then we see Raiders defense, Bengals defense, Cardinals defense, Vikings kicker, Atlanta's defense. Just a couple picks until we get to me, but I am for sure going. Yeah, let me do this. Definitely not going running back here. The receiver that was staring him in the face jumped off the board. There are a couple others I really like, though. Sorry, just scrolling down a bit. All right, it is my pick. I'm just going to get a kicker and buy myself time. The Eagles kicker? I feel like I've gotten the Eagles kicker a lot. I feel it's a bit underrated. Although they're going to be in tighter games this year and not blowing teams out, which is what you want your kicker to do. But it's clearly the best offense. Yeah, I'll just get the Eagles kicker there. And I might grab a kicker on the way back. Let me look at tight ends. Ooh, all right. So tight ends seem super depleted. I am going to reach for one, I think, coming back. Let me see how many kickers are taken at this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 kickers left. Is that right? 10 kickers left. No, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. Kickers are going. Only one more should go here, though. So there's a tight end out there that has been going. Oh, I'm in the late 20s now, aren't I? Oh, I got that tight end, a tight end 29. just 2 days ago. But I also had other options to go with. I am in the 25th round. It's really a matter of, are there going to be enough kickers coming back to me? There's a bunch of teams with one, so they could grab two. I'm a little bit nervous about that. So, do I go with Ravens kicker or Patriots kicker? No. Bears. Oh well. I got the Ravens kicker. I probably should have gone. Well, the only dome kicker left was the Saints, and I don't expect them to be scoring a whole lot. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It's a third kicker. So be it. I'm done with it. Really. I guess the Bears kicker would have, but no, I don't want a Chicago kicker. Dallas kicker's going to be in there more often than not. All right, so I'm hoping the tight end I was contemplating does not go. That will be my next pick if he's there. Ernst Ferguson got a groin strain. McVay downplayed the injury. All right. That isn't necessarily my next pick, but it's in the realm of possibility. So, all right. I like to go over the picks because I need to be caught up with them so I know who's off the board. I talked last, was it the Falcons? No. Talked about Taj Brooks, Atlanta Falcons. After I picked the Falcons defense in the 20th, I'm reversed. It went, where was I? What, is that right? 20th, Taj Brooks. And then Falcons. Okay, so then after that, Jatavian Sanders went. I probably should have mixed him in. Always consider it. That team of the Miller got the stack. Jatavian Sanders with Bryce Young. That's pretty sweet. But then Miami's defense goes Kendre Miller, no thank you. Kirk Cousins could end up starting for a team somewhere along the line. Tyler Higbee should probably start out the season with a few good weeks, but will lose that job to Ferguson eventually. Broncos kicker Torrey Horton, nice little sleeper, although he's creeping up. Not sure we can call him sleeper in the 21st anymore. Marshawn Lloyd back on the field again. He's played with my emotions way too many times, although I did see him sitting there in a queue. And Deontay Thornton, I think, is a decent pick. Although the people in the know think Thornton is just kind of a flash in the pan for preseason. Kyle Monangai, we talked about earlier, got blown up. Alec Pierce, I would have liked to stack. Should have been, I lowered him on my radar just so I could get in defenses. And my running backs, Darren Waller, I'm looking at picking up Darren Waller's backup. Was it something Hill in dynasty leagues? I'm in a couple 2 tight end dynasty leagues, so you need depth there. I definitely would have taken Theo Johnson ahead of Waller. Jalen Tolbert, Raheem Mostert, Trey Tucker. I feel like I've grabbed him in like the 28th round before. Adonai Mitchell. He should have been on my radar. I wanted to stack Richardson with him. You guys saw, I got in my defense running back zone and didn't look up at Mitchell. Bad move on my part. I'm going to make a mark to move him up to. He is. I believe he is a more talented receiver than Alec Pierce, but Alec Pierce has that magical connection with Anthony Richardson. And I feel like Adonai Mitchell has a bit of an overlap in skill set with Josh Downs, so Adonai Mitchell doesn't get a ton of playing time in that offense. Then the Tampa Bay kicker goes, and I grabbed Keaton Mitchell. Calvin Austin goes, no thank you. Elijah Mitchell goes, no thank you. Saints defense, Falcons kicker, and then I took the Jags defense, and that's where I'll leave off for right now. So I'm done with kicker, I'm done with defense. It was tight end that I super need, right? And my tight end that I wanted left just a few picks ago, Harold Fannin. I should have taken Fannin. Oh, wow. The only kicker left, all the kickers are gone, so I may not have gotten it back. So I guess I can't complain about my move. But now I am stuck with some suspect tight ends. I am really weak at tight end here. And it's really only rookies or backups left. So let me look. There is a receiver out there that I think could. There's a fancy receiver and a fancy running back. I might just grab that and leave the two tight ends for last. One more receiver, Jalen Royals. There's probably a stack in here somewhere, but Jalen Royals could up being the biggest benefactor when Rashee Rice goes out, and who knows how long Rice is going to be out. So I like grabbing him late as just a complete dart flyer. And then, so I have a running back in queue that I like. I'm going to go with Trevor Etienne, Travis's brother. Probably about equal in talent, and Etienne could end up with the pass catching role in that Carolina offense. Chuba Hubbard doesn't catch the ball at all. Rico Dowdle is not his best skill set. Trevor Etienne, it is one of his stronger skill sets. I think that I got a lot of rookie running backs, but I like this running back room. I think it has a ton of upside, and I'm done with it there. Actually, I only have 8 wide receivers, but I need tight end depth. So there's a few guys here that I really like as super late round flyers. Really like. And actually, I should move this one up top. I'm not going to say any of their names quite yet in case there is somebody that clicks this on in the queue. And I keep forgetting. I should just let in the lead chat. No, this is being live streamed on YouTube right now. If it goes through. I probably should have done that earlier just to get views. But now they can view in when it's too late to steal my picks. Where did I leave off? I left off at which pick? It was one of my picks, Jacksonville's defense. So Commanders kicker, Elijah Arroyo. That's a value in the 23rd round. Bengals kicker, Carolina defense, Miles Sanders. Could be a value in the 23rd, but no ceiling, just floor. Jalen Noel was the wide receiver I had on my radar at the time. Jalen Naylor, I've drafted in previous drafts to stack with McCarthy. But as I look, Jalen Naylor didn't nearly produce the way I thought he did. I talked about Taysom Hill earlier. I like grabbing him as a later tight end. Heck, I've been drafting him in the 18th round of some underdog drafts, but in this format, I've been grabbing him 26th, 27th round. He goes in the 23rd here. Then we see Arizona's kicker, Vegas kicker, Buffalo kicker, Niners kicker, Jaguars kicker, Tyler Shuck, who I don't think will start more than 6 games max before being hurt. He's just got a massive history. That is injury prone personified. Then we see Amari Cooper. Did he sign with Buffalo, or is that where they just still have him? I need to look into that. Will Disley goes Dolphins kicker, Green Bay kicker. I took the Eagles kicker, then Seahawks kicker, Rams kicker, Colts kicker, Ty Johnson. Baltimore Ravens kicker went to me, and I'm almost up again. Oh, I got 3 more picks. Okay. Ooh, okay. So I can eye up a receiver here too. There goes one of them that I like to grab late. Nothing really standing out, and I don't think I see any stacks at wide receiver. Tight end, I'm gonna grab a tight end here, and I'm gonna go with the guy I talked about with Higbee. Feel like later in the season, Terrence Ferguson should be able to take over that role, given the way the coaches have been speaking about him. And actually, I see the wide receiver that I'm going to target here as a nice little stack. Don't want to say too much around the turn, although they're probably looking in a different direction. And I have 5 or so tight ends, 5 tight ends and about 5 receivers that are sitting here queued up. But I want to say high on, but higher than most on receiver that is a stack with one of my quarterbacks that I would like to stack again. You know who I didn't notice? I probably rattled off his name. Jaden Blue in the 14th. Just looking at Prescott. I like to stack Jaden Blue with Dak Prescott, just like I stacked Trevor Lawrence with Bashal Tutin. But Jaden Blue's been going earlier and earlier for probably pretty good reason, especially in PPR. Ooh, glad I grabbed tight end there, because 2 tight ends went off the board right after. Noah Fant, that I think, I mean, at best, he's going to be splitting with Gesicki, but again, I think Gesicki's going to be more of the slot, Fant more of the inline tight end. And I don't know how many targets are really there for them, given T. Higgins is happy, contract signed, and probably Higgins is probably going to be looking for more and more targets to reach any incentives he has in that contract. Not sure how many there are, but I'd imagine Cincinnati doesn't have a lot of money, like actual cash, so they like to guarantee a lot less. So I'm sure there's quite a few in incentives in Higgins' contract. So he's probably going to be dying for targets. So I don't see much for Fant. I do like Austin Hooper. May seem to like to hit him on deep targets, although with the new weapons they've obtained, not sure Hooper will be getting those deep targets up the sideline. Antonio Gibson has really been faded by most of the community, and Luke McCaffrey's a major dart throw, but I guess mine is a major dart throw too. I'm going to stack Kevontae Turpin with Dak Prescott. I only draft Turpin with Prescott as a stack. Turpin is a gadget player. He's really a return guy that they are using more and more as a gadget player, lining up in the backfield. He was slowed by I think it was a DUI, either arrest or accident, right when, I think it was during OTAs actually, and not preseason. Quite sure he missed one of the OTA periods because of that incident. But even when he came back late, they were using him immediately in the backfield in the slot. He'll be their main return guy. Think that he will have some nice spike weeks. All right. I think I'm done at both receiver and running back. There is like Jordan James out there at running back. LaQuint Allen as a stack. Phil Maffa as a team stack are possibles, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went. Who the heck is George Haluani? That must just be somebody's friend. Where did I leave off? I was talking about the picks. I think I left off with Baltimore kicker. I'm still 4 rounds behind in this. Let's turn on the Turbo Jets. Ray McLeod. Ray McLeod is kind of equivalent to the Kevontae Turpin. Actually, probably better than the Kevontae Turpin pick. Ray McLeod had over 100 fantasy points last year in PPR scoring. Don't want to get too deep into him, but not a bad pick in the 24th round. Probably could have gone later, though. New England kicker, Saints kicker. This is the 25th round I'm talking about. Chicago kicker, Spencer Rattler. Carolina kicker, Eric Iomana. Really like him, especially in stacks with Ward, where he is not here. Giants kicker, Devon Vele. Think he should fade away, but may not. Samaje Perine, no ceiling. Tennessee Titans kicker goes Sean Tucker, great pick in the 26th round. Probably could have bypassed one of my running backs. And then Harold Fannin goes. That is really the tight end I really wanted. We'll talk about him in the future. Jets kicker, Jarquez Hunter at running back, Deontay Johnson at wide receiver. I've liked him in the past, but I've started to fade on him, especially with them. They just signed somebody off the street. The rookie, which I should put on my board somewhere. Isaiah something, right? Isaiah Bond. Yes, I prefer Isaiah Bond upside to Deontay Johnson. Cleveland Browns kicker goes, Tesla goes. I took Jalen Royals. Garoppolo goes, Jimmy Garoppolo. That's actually not a bad pick in the 26th round. Nice hedge against Stafford. Tutu Atwell goes, which is a stack with Stafford. Demarcus Robinson, I like that pick. San Francisco, he could vulture some touchdowns if he's not suspended to start the season. I know there was I want to say DUI incident earlier in this season with Demarcus Robinson, but that could get pushed to next season. Alan Lazard, and then I took Trevor Etienne. I can keep rolling because my pick isn't for a while. Tyler Conklin goes, meh. Maybe in a stack with Herbert, but nah. Titans defense goes. I think that's the last defense off the board. Emmanuel Wilson, good late round pick. Bashard Smith, good pick this late. Nick Westbrook-Akene, another good pick this late. Josh Reynolds, great pick this late. I want to say, especially if it's stacked, and it is. Woo! Nice jet stack. I got that a couple different places though, bro. in this tournament. Christian Watson goes. He's going to get hurt again. Jalen McLaughlin didn't do anything last year. Xavier Restrepo. I think there's a Shara narrative there. I think he played with Ward in college. Need to look that back up. Jalen Hyatt. Wow. Haven't heard that name in a while. Dontavian Wicks, great pick, 28th round. Damian Pierce, 28th round, fine. Little hedge against Mixon. I think he is the guy that drafted Mixon, so there you go. Keandre Lambert-Smith disappeared once Keenan Allen got signed off waivers, but do like him as a late season boom type player. Shedeur Sanders, really like that pick in the 28th round. Got to keep that in mind. Almost up to my pick. Devin Neal goes. Valdez Scantling, Noah Brown, Troy Franklin. Then I took Ferguson. And now I'm going to take another tight end, although Ben Sinnott, that just went a few picks before me, that was next in my queue. I am deciding between Michael Mayer, Gunnar Helm, and Cade Stover or Aronde Gadsden. I'm actually going to go with Michael Mayer. Yeah, sure, he's buried behind Brock Bowers, but let me look at Mayer's stat line real quick, just so I'm accurate when it comes to this. Michael Mayer, 2 seconds, killing time, trying not to Game log. So first 3 games, he only had 3 1-3 targets, and then he was hurt for 5 games. So really only capped out at 4 targets, other than 1 game against at Tampa Bay where he had 9 targets, 7 receptions, 68 yards. Not sure. Let me check. I think Bowers was playing that week. I'm going to double check that though. What week was that? So, and maybe that week is just stuck in my head. Week 14, Brock Bowers, game log. Dawson Knox goes right after my pick. No, Bowers played. Bowers only had 5 targets in that game. So this is kind of what I see is Brock Bowers going to play kind of all over the field all the time. He'll either be playing in the slot with Myers bouncing to the flank Z, and who's in the X? I guess Deontay Thornton. I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Bowers in the X a lot. And meanwhile, basically what I'm saying is that you can put Brock Bowers anywhere and line him up as a receiver, just has tight end eligibility, which is fantastic. But when Mayer's healthy, he is a premium tight end. Like if he was starting on if he was playing on any other team that he didn't have, an elite tight end ahead of him, he would probably be borderline top 12. I could see him, let's say if we put Michael Mayer on, I guess New England, Henry would cut. If we put Michael Mayer on Jacksonville, Bretton Strange takes an immediate backseat, and I'm ranking Mayer right in that Kincaid, Ferguson, Pitts range. And that's not actually how I'm totally ranked right now, but close to it, I think. It's not too far off, actually. Yeah, so whether it's a Bowers injury or just Mayer's healthy, or I believe Mayer was asking for a trade earlier in the season. Oakland wasn't going to give it to him because they understand his value. And I would not be surprised if Mayer is on the field 80% of snaps, where it would be technically 12 personnel because Bowers is listed as a tight end, but seeing Bowers in the slot or lined up outside, whether it's X or Z, yeah, or just some sort of flanker forward wide, well, not 4 wide receiver, but 3 wide receiver sets and a tight end being Mayer. I could see that. I could definitely see that happening. So let me just, where did I leave off? I left off at when I was going over each pick. And I know it's probably confusing. You guys don't care by now, but I kind of like to just go through each pick so it kind of gets etched in my memory. Talked about Brashard Smith. So I left off at Terrence Ferguson, my pick. After I picked Terrence Ferguson, I actually said, I talked about Fant and Hooper going, Gibson and Luke McCaffrey going. I talked about my Turpin pick. Roman Wilson goes. I think Roman Wilson has to kowtow to the egomaniacal Aaron Rodgers. That's probably the nicest thing I could say about him. In order to get targets, and I'm not sure Roman Wilson will. I think he's a stronger individual than to kowtow to propaganda. Then we see Devin Singletary. Nice little sleeper running back late. You know, Cam Scatterboo is a little bit banged up. Tracy gets banged up. He can fill in kind of any role. He's well liked in the clubhouse. Call him Motor. As well liked by the coach. He's definitely going to be either the Giants' third running back on game day, or they'll do him a favor and trade him. And I'm sure Houston is kind of inquiring whether he's still around. I talked about this George. I said his name. Alani. Do not know who that is. I would swear it was a made-up name, made-up person. Maybe I gotta Google something. Then Jordan James, I said, really good pick. Really, actually, I have very little Isaac Orendo because I believe Jordan James ends up dominating that role if CMC goes down. But I think CMC I draft him in the first every time he's available. Unless I get earlier picks next time. Elijah Moore, great 29th round pick. Elijah Moore could, I don't want to say end up starting over Khalil Shakir. But if Khalil Shakir goes, and Shakir has had an ankle injury, but I do expect him back week 1. I guess Elijah Moore, I don't know if he's standing out in camp and really establishing himself, but I believe he has the talent enough to do so. So, great 29th round pick. Along with Isaiah Davis, fantastic dart throw this late. Should be going ahead of quite a few, well, maybe not quite a few, several running backs that go before him. A lot of hype out of Jets camp, and they could very well trade Breece Hall. And Isaiah Davis will exponentially increase in value. Jordan Witherington, that was last year's thing. Get off it, guy. Gainwell. I like that pick in the 29th round. Contingency value for 2 running backs. Has always been stifled. He did have the opportunity at one point, but it was a small, short window. I believed in the talent years ago. I think Kenneth Gainwell fits very well in that Pittsburgh offense and could end up interrupting what we see as a split backfield between Kerryon Johnson and Jaylen Warren. In fact, coaches talked about wanting to see him in the passing game. So we could see Kenny Gainwell on 2-minute drills. We actually saw that some with Philadelphia last year. They were not afraid. They weren't in 2-minute drill all that often, but like the halftime 2-minute drill, they were not afraid to put Kenny Gainwell in. Brandon Cooks, suppose if they get a quarterback, he could still have some value, but he's just, I don't want to say dust. I think he does have a couple of games left in him. And you know what? In the 29th round, go for it. Jake Browning, he has Joe Burrow. He drafted Joe Burrow early. He only has 2 quarterbacks. So that Jake Browning pick in the 30th round is quite essential there, actually. Audric Estime, no thank you. Malik Willis, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And it is a handcuff pick. But I do think Malik Willis is one of the few backup quarterbacks that actually has value if he does get the start. Malik Washington, yeah, that is a great bet against Tyreek Hill. In fact, he should have been higher on my radar. He wasn't on my radar. He's only usually on my radar when I draft Tyreek Hill. But in the 30th round, to kind of stack cuff that receiver. So if Tyreek Hill gets traded, which he was asking for earlier in the offseason, Malik Washington does stand to gain immense value and could have quite a bit of value just being a third receiver in Miami, although Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is there now too, and we know Ikhine is just an absolute touchdown machine. And I need to get him higher on my radar because that dart throw on Royals probably should have been the smart Westbrook-Ikhine pick. Although the Westbrook-Ikhine, he had really a real good connection with the Tennessee quarterback, who's that Mayo freak, who's out with the shoulder injury this year. And I can't think, he was a rookie of last year or second-year player last year. Not a great quarterback, but he had a good connection with him, could catch that deep ball. And Tua can't throw a deep ball, so we'll see how that works out. Where am I? Tim Patrick? Bruh, I don't even think he ends up on Detroit. Tesla has really taken any chance of Patrick seeing targets, I think, unless there's something out of camp that I don't know about. Ben Sinnott is the tight end I had in my radar for this late. Zach Ertz is old, and I could see Sinnott slipping right into that touchdown mega target that Ertz can be in that offense. And even I think they had Sinnott line up at fullback a lot, and yeah, he had that one great trick play on the punt team during the playoffs last year, but he's a versatile player. He's probably one of the tight ends that won't emerge until like year 3 or 4, but he was being highly touted by Rotoviz last year. I've even seen Siegel last year drafting him in, I want to say, in like the 12th round of some best ball drafts. So the talent is there, and I would have really liked to grab him in the last round. Probably should have snagged him where I got Turpin, because Turpin would have likely fallen. And there's a couple other receivers that actually have in my queue that didn't get, and a couple tight ends that didn't get taken. And I'll go over them in a second. Keyshawn Butte, I will stack him in the last round with May any chance I get. This team does not have May, but I still think that's a great late round pick. People are drafting Kyle Williams, and this one was the end of the 15th, which I don't think was a necessarily bad pick, but Kyle Williams, I don't think Kyle Williams is a more talented receiver than Keyshawn Butte, and I would like saying Butte a lot. I like getting Butte. All right, I'll stop with the booty jokes. But yeah, I think they're going to be really splitting routes for most of the season, and I don't think Kyle Williams is good enough to really establish himself ahead of Keyshawn Butte, so I need to keep that in mind. Johan Donson, contingency value over those other And actually, well, the tight end, where is he? Goddard is going to have value when AJ Brown or Devontae Smith go down. And Goddard is technically the third receiver in that offense, but when they do get in 3 wide receivers sets, Jahan Dotson, former first-round pick, could have some nice value. Parker Washington, yeah, maybe a 30th round dart. I could have considered it for sure. I went with Mayer. I talked about that. In the queue, I still have Gunnar Helm and Cade Stover and Oronda Gadsden. Gunnar Helm had a hell of a game with the second and third team in the preseason this weekend. Cade Stover, I could see Stover taking over that tight end role from Schultz. Schultz is a no-frills, catch the ball, fall down guy. Cade Stover has some athleticism and great hands. Was he a rookie last year or was he a sophomore last year? But he was hurt for most of the year last year, I believe, and couldn't really emerge. I see him later in the season taking that role given full health. Oronda Gadsden could take over the Conklin role. I'm not sure. They signed Conklin to a contract in the offseason, but then they drafted Oronda Gadsden a little bit later. I want to say 6th round. Where is it? Does it tell me? 5th round. So 5th round tight end's actually not too late to get rookie touches. The other wide receivers I have in my queue, just to name a couple, I did say Isaiah Bond earlier, need to move up. Gonna make note of that. But Jermaine Burton and Ty Felton could also emerge. Burton could emerge as the third receiver over Yoshivas, although non-specified, out for preseason game against Commanders. Not looking good for Burton anymore. Ty Felton was a 3rd round pick. And yeah, he was a 3rd round pick because of his return ability, but he's going to be on the roster week to week, and at worst, he'll be their 4th receiver. Could see some spike weeks out of Ty Felton. He's also a Maryland receiver. Yeah, he's from University of Maryland. And we've seen quite a bit of success with Maryland receivers and tight ends over the years. DJ Moore. The others are escaping me, but there is some talent there. And I talked about Isaiah Bond. All right, I'll go over my team one more time. I'll start off with a running back. I guess that's not really heavy running back, but it's let's call it a double running back start, and then come back with 5 receivers. So I start out McCaffrey, Achane, Tyreek Hill. I should have had Tua. So thinking it through, Tua went in the 12th. No way. All right. But I was set up for a nice Tua stack, but I was also set up for a nice San Francisco stack that I got sniped on. That was a true snipe. But anyway, all right. So I went McCaffrey, Achane, Tyreek Hill, Xavier Worthy, George Pickens, Stephon Diggs, who I was hoping to stack with Drake May, Jawan Jennings, who I was hoping to stack with Brock Purdy. But in the 8th round, I came back. Tight ends were starting to fly. I am high on Tyler Warren. Think he could be the next, highly ranked tight end next year. I could see Tyler Warren being drafted as tight end 4 next year ahead of Laporta. But because I drafted Tyler Warren, I missed out on my Brock Purdy stack. So I quickly got back and took the Dak Prescott stack. and maybe should have taken Mahomes over Jennings to stack with Worthy, but I did stack Mahomes with Worthy in my last draft. Speaking of Worthy, him going in the late fourth, I guess he should, with the Rashee Rice news. Like, what I think is really Rashee Rice is probably going to be suspended from week 7 to 13, which is 6 games, kind of right in the middle of the season. So I think he'll be back for, there aren't any playoffs here, but I think he'll be back for your league playoffs or best ball playoffs. So I think there's still some safety there. But now that I have, and most people have Rashee Rice ranked in the 60s somewhere, so 6th round, Worthy should be moving up a bit. I guess he's appropriate where he's being taken. I would probably, if there was no ADP out there, I would probably take Worthy ahead of maybe Terry McLaurin. Marvin Harrison and Worthy are about even. I would have a tough time deciding between them. I think Marvin Harrison's going to have a much better year than he did last year. All right, so where am I? I got up to Prescott, and I come back with Trevor Lawrence. Didn't have any stackable pieces already drafted with Trevor Lawrence, so I did backstack him in a maybe reachy way, but Lawrence was such a value. Like, I want to say I have Lawrence as a top 12 ranked quarterback, although it's kind of hard to squeeze that in there. Oh, I do have that set. I have Lawrence at 15 right behind Drake May, but I have him ahead of CJ Stroud, JJ McCarthy, Herbert and Love, and I do have Caleb. I only have Caleb Williams higher because many people have Caleb Williams projected for more. I think they're about even. So I think Lawrence should have been taken earlier. So with him sitting there, and he's definitely a tier above the Stafford, Ward, Tua, Bryce Young, Richardson. So he was the last of a tier, and I think actually like even a tier above that, Stroud, McCarthy, Herbert, Love, or I guess he's at the head of that tier, and I got him last in that tier. I was happy with the pick. Came back with Bayshell Tootin. Really, a bit of a reach, but to stack with Lawrence. If I had to do it over, it's whatever. Maybe I could have gotten Rashid Shaheed, and then maybe gotten Tootin on the way back. But either way, Luther Burden, maybe there might be a strong bias there, but I think Burden just got to be healthy and get into practice. I probably should start fading Burden a bit. Then I come back with Anthony Richardson. I should start fading Richardson a little bit too, but I outlined why I'm high on Richardson in best ball in particular, and actually in redraft too. In my draft rankings, I will probably I'll probably rank, and right now I have him as quarterback 17 behind Herbert and Lawrence and Drake May and Caleb Williams, just because I can't really when I do rankings, and actually when I do the draft rankings, I'm going to be strictly thinking about you constructing a team or me constructing a team. In redraft, Richardson should be the 12th or 13th ranked quarterback, simply because, as I said earlier, ETR will have him projected for right around the 8th amount of points being scored in any given week when he starts. He, had over 4. I'm repeating myself. He had he had 4 games over 20 points, which is a benchmark for quarterbacks. Scoring over 20 points is kind of what you need from your quarterback week to week, especially in best ball. So yeah, when Anthony Richardson is starting a game that isn't against some like top 5 defense, I'm going to really want to start Anthony Richardson. Actually, I'm going to check something. I have 6 slow drafts I'm going to do with you right after I finish this team. So I'll be on for maybe another half an hour. No, not even. Maybe. I'm right at the 2:30 mark. 3-hour mark gets you propelled up a bit, but I'm not going to go any beyond that. So let's just end it quick when I can. All right. So where am I? Anthony Richardson. Then I come back with Cowboys kicker. Probably 2 rounds early on that. But I was kind of like, I had De'Ami Brown in the queue. I thought it was too early for him. I wanted to give myself some extra time. I know I always want the Cowboys kicker. I know he goes first. I didn't really, actually, the tight end I was looking at after Strange was the one I ended up with 2 full rounds later in Isaiah Likely. Like, I wanted Strange, so I was kind of twisted in my head of which direction to go in. And I only wanted Strange too because it's a stack with Lawrence. I don't think Strange is anything good, just that he's going to get 100% of the routes, or he'll be in on just about 100% of the snaps. Every snap he's feeling fine, Strange will be in. So he's a snap-worthy draft. So yeah, I had dilemma at this 14-15 turn. In retrospect, there was a player I could have gone with, but not disappointed by the way it fell out, because I did end up with Likely in the 16th round, which I was shocked he went after Strange and Jonnu and Gesicki and Firemouth and Okonkwo. Maybe there's some new news on him that I haven't seen yet. But anyway, after that, I start a running back defense run where I went with Woody Marks, Cowboys defense, DJ Giddens, Taj Brooks, Falcons defense, Peyton Mitchell, Jaguars defense. Then I come back with 2 kickers from the Eagles and the Ravens. Took a dart throw at Jalen Royal. A couple other guys I talked about possibly getting there. Trevor Etienne I talked about being the RB3 on Carolina with possibility at the pass catching duties, the majority of pass catching duties. Terrence Ferguson could take over for Tyler Higbee given health. Kavontae Turpin, I talked to him lining up all over the field, being maybe their 3rd or 4th kind of target there. 4th, maybe 5th. And then finished up with Michael Mayer, who I think has value, contingency, and otherwise. Tight end, I am weak. Everywhere else, I feel strong, except I did not get to stack. I guess the only stack with Anthony Richardson is the backup running back, which there is some correlation there. But I did not get any receiver because Adonai Mitchell I should have reached for a bit, and I forgot where he went. He went 2 picks before me in the 22nd round. Not sure what else I really could have done there. I probably should have had Adonai Mitchell queued up where I got JD Giddens. That's about 19th round, right around the Pat Bryant. Yeah, that's where I should have had him, and that's where I will have him going forward. All right, let me switch it up a little bit. Just gonna go, since I have a few slow drafts to do in underdog drafts. I'll show you what I got, show you what I'm thinking. Take you along my journey. So this team has a Denver stack with Bo Nix, Courtland Sutton, and Evan Ingram. I am done at tight end with McBride and Ingram. I have 5 wide receivers, 1 running back, so it is time for quarterback or running back, and I get 2 picks pretty close together. So let's see. I am in the 10th and 11th turn. Let me flip this to ADP. I go more off ADP. They're not my rankings in there. There's rankings from other people I trust. But I really just kind of, I use both to gauge and go off ADP. I usually adjust somebody else's rankings to my own. It's just easier that way and usually a lot quicker that way. But I didn't get a chance to do that pre-game. And go figure, I like the receivers. Marvin Mims is a stack. I need, all right, so Miami, Denver, KC, New England, those quarterbacks are gone. Vegas comes later. Miami comes later. So Drake May is gone. Whoops. Drake May is gone. Would have liked to stack him with Diggs. Mahomes is certainly gone. I definitely have Burden and Kirk ranked ahead of Mims, but I have 0 Mims. I was completely fading him because of lack of snaps. But then, I've talked about it 3 times now. He got 16 out of 19 snaps with the first team in the first preseason game, which could mean absolutely nothing. But I don't have many Denver stacks, and I even have less Marvin Mims. So I'm going to grab him there as my 6th receiver. I'm going to get these receivers out of the queue. Actually, I could go with Christian Kirk because he does leave me open for a stack late. I'm going to leave him in there. Cam Scattaboo at 122. Wouldn't be horrible. Bigsby there. I still have Bigsby, or ADP has Bigsby ahead of Tootin. Yeah. The guys I trust have the right guys. I mean, even Ramondre Stevenson wouldn't be a bad pick here. I wouldn't mind him as a 3rd running back, though. So I gotta, even if I took Scattaboo instead of Marvin Mims, it's not about draft capital. It's about Ramondre will likely see close to half of the snaps in that New England offense, but they're not going to be the high value touches. He's not going to be the receiving back. Could be the goal line back, but I don't think he exactly thrived in that role last year. I'm just looking to see if I can find inside the 5 goal line touches. I have next gen stats up there. I haven't used it enough to pull it up quick. So I'll come back to that another time. But Ramondre, I don't see him getting many, if any, high value touches. I don't see him being used in the 2-minute drill, which is really what you want. You want the back being used in the 2-minute drill. That's where a ton of running back points come from. You get a 2-minute drive where the running back gets 3 dump downs this is half PPR, but so I guess Ramondre does have a bit more value in this format than he does in a PPR. But I don't know. I would probably go Tootin or Sampson over any of these other guys. Just looking. So if I go Christian Kirk, Stroud won't be available at the next turn, so Kirk probably isn't a good pick. Sampson's ADP has fallen all the way to 142, so I might get Sampson on the way back. Just like to kind of set up my queue with thoughts and ideas. I kind of got nothing here, just because Stroud, Lawrence will be gone. More than likely. I mean, I guess I'll queue them up if they're there, but they're probably not going to be there. But I don't want Stroud unless I get Kirk. I can stack Stroud with his 4th receiver if I don't get Kirk. But let me move Kirk down. There's nothing. But at the next turn, I'm looking at like Sampson or Jaden Blue or Braylon Allen. I'm going to need running back there too, but there are a few more running backs there. Wait a second. Just looking at quarterbacks. Tua and Geno. I might actually have to reach a bit for them at the next turn, depending on how many quarterbacks are left. But as far as this turn goes, yeah, it's going to have to be a running back that I don't like. So we'll see when it comes back to me. Oops. Next one. I might have autoed Justin Fields. I autoed a couple last night because I was happily preoccupied. So I started out with A-Chain Henry, came back with 5 receivers in Kittle, then Justin Fields. I'll stack Justin Fields late. Go running back, quarterback here. What are my receivers? So Carolina, Baltimore, Chicago. I have so many Chicago stacks. Green Bay. I have a lot of Green Bay stacks too. Houston. Let's look at ADP. Prescott, May, Kittle. No, I'm going to leave that open for stacks. I suppose, no, this is 10-3. So this is the thing about, like, whenever I have a Chicago receiver, Caleb Williams is always sitting right there. But the problem with that is, like, I also like very much to stack my quarterbacks with tight ends. And it's impossible to stack with Loveland unless I'm basically reaching for Loveland. Not by ADP, but like, I don't want to get them at the 9-10 turn. I want to get them at the 10-11 turn. And that's doesn't seem to be where they're going by ADP. I have gotten it at the 10-11 turn before, so that's where I like to keep it, and like to keep my Caleb exposure. I already have Fields, so let's just get Caleb out of there. Really looking at running back, but I'm in the same dilemma. I'm in the same spot at running back, same exact spot at running back I was in that last draft, where I don't particularly care for any of them until the next turn. Yeah, I'm not going running back. Where Scottaboo was going when he was perfectly healthy. Is he back? Sits out preseason opener. That was 7 days ago. I don't know. So Love. I won't get it the next turn. But Stroud I should. Purdy's gone. Purdy's gone. I'm not going to reach for quarterback when I have one already. Oh, I have a dilemma. I literally have no idea what to do here. Tight end? Could go tight end, but that means I'm going 3, most likely. If I'm going... I'm gonna make double sure I got this right. So, I'm at pick 111. My next pick is 130. By ADP, Kirk is 121. He's a stretch. But Stroud is 132. What was it again? 130? I should get Stroud, especially if I have 2 of his receivers, but I should actually look which side is Collins. Collins is on the other side. So the guy that drafted Collins is going to take Stroud at one of his next picks. So I'm not going to get Stroud coming back to me. I'm not drafting Love above May. I'm just not going to do that. Wow, I'm in a tight spot here. Caleb feels like the only pick. There's no running back worth drafting here. This is why I hate slow drafts. It just takes me forever to make some of these picks. You know what? I have 5 receivers. No reason to reach for any of them. Although, let me check something out. Herbert is going to 125. He probably won't be there. Tempted to draft Keenan Allen and hope for 3 stackable pieces at the next turn, although running back is plentiful at the next turn. Wow, this must be just boring AF to watch me have a dilemma. If you're watching this later, comment in the chat. You freaking idiot, you should have gotten blah, blah, blah. Please like, subscribe, comment in the chat, good, bad, or otherwise. I don't care. I'm not going to be insulted. I'm just getting started at this, so I'm probably not the greatest. I know I'm a lot. I don't particularly care for listening to myself, especially for 3 hours, but please like, subscribe, leave comments, and tell me who to draft. If you're in the chat, Jesus, who would you get? By ADP, I'm looking at a slew of quarterbacks that I have a stack on Caleb, but I have so many Caleb stacks. I want to double stack them, and I can't do that because I don't have another pick for like 20 picks after this. And my next picks are set at quarterback or running back. There's plenty of running backs at the next turn. Just stuck in a spot where I don't find myself all that often. I could certainly grab Kraft or Njoku or Loveland at tight end, but I definitely want to leave room for Mason at tight end and possibly stacking whatever. Let me look at my quarterbacks though. There aren't any real tight ends to stack with late. I don't care about Strange. If I end up with Young, I could still. All right. Caleb, is that it? Caleb, or you know what? Maybe I'll just grab Loveland. I'm going to grab Loveland. It's just some great reports coming out. Involved early in NFL debut. Let me just take a look at that. Call 1 of 2 targets, 8 yards, preseason tie. Both Loveland's targets came on the opening drive. I'm going to grab Loveland. There is a distinct possibility that Caleb Williams makes it all the way back around. Unless the DJ Moore drafter wants him, and we can even look and see DJ Moore, where'd DJ go? Third, fourth, middle fourth. DJ Moore drafter has Kyler Murray. Will probably draft Caleb Williams, but if it gets by him, nice double stack will work good. And I've said it repeatedly, quarterback is the least important and most replaceable part of a stack. There you go. Who's next? I should have addressed those that popped in a little earlier. Where are we? We have Jaden Daniels and Drake May at quarterback. Don't need another quarterback. I'm in the 17th round. I have Jalen Noel in the queue. But let me just take a look at receiver. I probably queued them up because I don't have a ton of them. New England, Washington, I have New England stack. I don't have anything Washington. Brian Robinson. I don't really have any Washington stack, but that ain't gonna happen for real. I have 5 running backs, but beyond Barkley, it is rather weak. That's why I have a couple running backs in the queue. Wide receiver, Slayton is probably more consistent than Noel. If I'm only going to go 6 wide receivers, I probably should grab somebody that's going to be a little bit more consistent. Or a stack, but the stacks don't look Yeah, there's plenty of receivers here. There's probably a good dart throw receivers here. Just kind of looking for a stack. I really think, maybe I'll just look at running back too. Sean Tucker, DJ Giddens, Ollie Gordon. Some decent options there if I were for a sixth running back. Yeah, let me get. I'm gonna take Darius Slayton just because I'm quite sure he's solidly projected for certainly more starts and more targets, more snaps, more points. Let's just go with that and keep on rolling here. Others are popping up. I'll do maybe 3 or 4 more of these. Strike up ADP. So we see Dylan Sampson just, I don't want, oh, Tajay Spears is also free falling. I probably need to, Tajay Spears. How long? All right, it's a high ankle sprain, but I thought he was going to be back at the beginning of the season. I guess Tajay Spears is kind of always hurt. But either one of them at this price, yes, please. Hopefully I get them both. There's a chance that Jaden Blue's here. I desperately need running back. But I just want to double check the receiver room and the quarterback room. So wait, no, yeah. I have Calvin Ridley, so Cam Ward is a great stack. Here I have a Herbert, Keenan Allen stack, and I can always grab a receiver late. The Tennessee stack is one I like. I really want to grab Dylan Sampson at this newly reduced price again. But if I'm going to continue a Tennessee stack for my third quarterback stack, I'll have to do it on the way back, and Tajay Spears goes delightfully well with that stack. I really want to hit Sampson because I really think he is the starting running back for the worst team in football, but it's not the way to play this game. The way to play this game is team stacks. Gonna go with Spears. Gonna move Cam Ward all the way up. If Cam Ward gets snagged on the turn, I end up with one of these running backs I like. Fair enough. Fair enough. I could have gone, well, there's no tight ends in ADP worth taking. All right. That's it for that. Go to this one. We have a Purdy, McCarthy, and Ward squad. What is this? Oh, this is only the 15th round? Used to getting Keaton Mitchell and Woody Marks in like the 17th, 18th round. All right, so I need running back pretty desperately. Will draft another receiver and likely another tight end. Yeah. Tennessee, Minnesota, San Francisco. Just want to put together any stacks. And a lot of times I type it in, but Elikai Manor is really, and I guess like I could do Lockett too, but they're both pretty far down in ADP. Tennessee tight end is where Chig. Where is Chig? So in ADP straight up, we got Keaton Mitchell and Woody Marks before I get to any of the receivers or tight ends. Oh, wait, Chig might be gone. No. Yeah. Let me just click on Chig gone. Chiggy gone. That's right. I can grab a tight end later. Although, let me look at what's out there. I need just one tight end, and I can grab one of those late tight ends I was talking about in the last draft, even if it's like a Harold Fannin or something. Good to go. All right, so I really think, well, let me look just at running back. Jalen Wright has fallen quite far, but rough showing in preseason. 4 times, 3 yards. Yeah, that's not convincing me that that's wrong. Will Shipley, but I already have Barkley. I don't want to. I don't want to reach for. Oh, it's not even a reach. Oh, it is. My eyes suck. It is a bit of a reach. I'm going to reach either way. I don't want to reach for a stack or a cuff. That's a straight handcuff. Will Shipley is a straight handcuff. Keaton Mitchell can have his own independent value, but he's tending to a hamstring. Then I'm going to draft the guy that I think should be going ahead, and that's Woody Marks, 15th. Too early. Not great, not a great value, but upside, baby, upside. These were in the queue when I first started doing this. And for those that are just joining us, we already did an NFFC draft. If you go back, you can see that whole thing. But cool, if you're live, please like, subscribe, ask me questions in the chat, leave some comments. I'd love to hear from you. Even if it's just a hi, let me know. Let me know you're active. Let me know who to thank. What do we have here? Is this the, all right, so this one, so right now I did the NFFC draft, and I'm just doing some underdog slow drafts, kill some time until I get over the 3-hour mark, and I'm there. So I think I only got one slow left after this. Oh, that's what I wanted to do too. Today's Sunday, isn't it? Yeah, the school starts back up for teachers tomorrow, so I'm not gonna go back. I want to do one of those Huskies live. Maybe tomorrow. I expect to stream in evenings this week, although I'll probably be exceedingly exhausted. We'll see. I need to put together redraft rankings first. All right, anyway, what do we have here? I have Fields in May. Yes, I have Fields on quite a few teams. It's the way it is. He could end up being the QB 5 or 6 this year if he stays healthy and things go his way. So I have Fields in May. Fields is stacked with Garrett Wilson. Don't need to, well, I'll probably stack him later with a seemingly healthy Mason Taylor. Yeah, I got him deep in that queue there. Yeah. So this is what's happening lately. Reporters, or maybe it's teams, but I'm more than willing to bet it's reporters exaggerating ankle sprains and calling all of them high ankle sprains, or many of them high ankle sprains. There is no possible way. Mason Taylor is already back on the field, back at practice in full 5 days ago. 5 days ago? Yeah, my brain stopped working for a week. Went to Vancouver, and Vancouver is absolutely gorgeous. Like, seriously would consider moving there. It is expensive as all get out, but the outskirts seem pretty good. So Taylor back at team drills Tuesday. Zach Rosenblatt from Athletic reports Taylor was diagnosed with a high ankle sprain last week. Impossible. Not possible to be back from a high ankle sprain. It wasn't a high ankle sprain if he's back on the field. Speaking for somebody that has had a total of 14 high ankle sprains and a dozen more on top of that between both ankles. Yeah, and in one ankle, I have more hardware than Home Depot with between screws and rods and plate. Had a compound fracture there. I might look droopy now, but I was a well-chiseled athlete back in the day until I was playing center field and forgot there was a fence behind me. Full speed, compound fracture of the fibula, broken heel, and the ankle bone literally split in half. So I have 2 big screws going through that. Anyway, enough about me. You don't need to hear that. We need to draft a team here, and I have my queue set up. So what do I got going on, really? I have a stacked Garrett Wilson. I want 3 QBs on this team. Just I'm between Leg Up and Hayden Winks, like feeding my head that I need 3 quarterbacks in every draft. The only time I'm going with 2 is when I grab like literally 2 in the single digit rounds, which is a rarity, but it's stacked. Like I can think of, I have a Burrow, Jaden Daniels team. Like I got Jaden Daniels top of the 5th and Burrow end of the 5th, beginning of the 7th, end of the 6th, beginning of the 7th. And I already had like both of them stacked. It's just kind of fortuitous. It fell to me. And a team like that, I'm only taking 2. And we've seen a couple of drafts here where I've only taken 2. But with Fields, highly volatile, Drake May, we think he's going to emerge, but there's no security in that whatsoever. I wouldn't mind getting a 3rd quarterback. If I get a 3rd, I absolutely want to stack him. I'm not going to draft Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to make it through the season healthy. He's going to be somebody's target, and he's immobile as all get out. So it would have to be a back stack. Oh, I can grab Geno Smith, but I would have to grab him now, most likely. Let me just check. Stafford goes. Anthony Richardson. Wow, his ADP is 170. Yeah, 15th round ADP. I'll wait on quarterback then. Because worst comes to worst, I can backstack Anthony Richardson, and I've talked about him enough today, so I'm not going to bother you with that. If I do get running back, it'll be my 5th and probably last. I do have a double stack with Pittsburgh, and I have no Aaron Rodgers, but that would be next round anyway. I could grab Hunter Henry on a stack, and I could end up with 2 tight ends, or just waiting and seeing if Mason. I'm going to grab Hunter Henry there to stack with Drake May. Don't know why I didn't see that before. And actually, there's probably a few receivers. I don't know. All those New England receivers are getting scooped up. There's value in there. People like Drake May and have high from. I should look. There he goes. Douglas went in the 12th round. Actually, that's before Kyle Williams went 13th. So in a half PPR, I don't think getting Douglas in the 12th is optimal. I would only get him in a stack that early. And I'd probably wait until the 13th anyway. I like getting everything at a value because I'm cheap AF. That's the way it goes. All right, this is gonna be my last one. If you're in the chat, please like, subscribe, let me know you're here, say what's up. Like, subscribe, hit those notifications because I usually don't have a lot of, I don't usually give a lot of advance notice. So hitting the bell so you get notifications when I do log on or stream is probably a good idea. Yeah, so please help me feed that algorithm. All right, so I got Brian Thomas in the early second round here. I do really like Trevor Lawrence to do something this year, but yeah, and I'm not going to get him at the next turn. He's going to go before then. I'm solid at running back. Kittle at tight end. Oh, Warren's still out there too, though. Man, I like Tyler Warren at a value. I mean, the receivers are fine, but I literally have no quarterback to stack them with at this point. I could grab Mooney for a later Penix stack. I like Ayuk's value, even though he's likely to miss the first 6 weeks or so. Bateman, I think we're like, as far as receiver goes, we're at that Bateman line again. Well, no, I do like Burden after that, and Kirk. They're all kind of spreading and falling to value now. So these guys are all nice, but having 5 wide receivers already, I like to leave myself open to back stacks if necessary. So I tend to avoid this unless I've grabbed a couple quarterbacks earlier, an extra tight end early. I kind of light fade these receivers, although I have quite a bit of Burden and quite a bit of Ayuk at higher prices. All right, so I'm going to quit the jibber jabber. Finish off here with Trevor Lawrence and just make sure. Oh, I do have one other slow draft I can do. Figure while I gotcha, clicked in, tuned in, I might as well keep going. Oh, but I'm left with this same dilemma. That's when you batch enter, 20 slows at a time, you're gonna hit the same pick each day. It's like I've picked the same pick 20 times. But here we go again. All right, so what does this team have? This team has a double Denver stack. I just made this Marvin Mims pick. So I definitely need to go running back here, right? Or did I say quarterback? Thought I contemplated. Yeah, I was contemplating Herbert, but I wanted to stack him with Keenan Allen, right? This is ADP. Keenan Allen's already gone. I don't know. I'm mixing teams up at this point. I mean, look, it's Cam Scatteraboo at 122 isn't enough of a value for me to be excited about, but it might be my only choice here. I don't have any stackable quarterbacks within range. Just going to take a look at the board. So Herbert is an option I like to backstack, but Keenan Allen went before him. And Quentin Johnson is there, but there's really nothing. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I could backstack Herbert with Quentin Johnson and Lambert's KLS. Yeah, KLS. but that's gotten weaker since they signed Keenan Allen, but Keenan Allen isn't always healthy. I hope it helps to hear me out as I go through my thought process here. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And I'm not intentionally rambling by any stretch of the imagination. Intentionally. I know I'm rambling, but I'm not doing it intentionally. So, Scatterbo going down in the preseason as a rookie does not fare well for him, but we're really worried about back-end production with rookies. In all honesty, I need some front-end production here. So the choice is really between Tootin and Bigsby. Bigsby still has a higher ADP, but I wonder if that's just lag. And this all stands. So I'm going to grab Tootin. I'm going to continue to reach for Tootin. Maybe they'll say it here. Tootin appears to be the early favorite to begin the season as Jacksonville's the number 3, putting in another good practice Tuesday. That was Tuesday. No, that was 5 days ago. Oh, no, that report was 10 days ago. So in the preseason game, the first preseason game, I haven't even looked to see if they played another preseason game this weekend. I really have been preoccupied. But that preseason game where we saw Etienne get 5 snaps with the first team, Bigsby only get 2, and Tootin get 3. Am I even thinking about the right team? I think, no, that might be the Jets. I need to reevaluate that. Here's the thing. Tootin is likely to, I'm talking myself out of it. Tootin's really hyped. And I've been buying into it all season, but I've enjoyed the drop in ADP. But it looks like his ADP has climbed back up. Bigsby. Honestly, I could do Ramondre here, but I'm passing up those guys. No, you know what? I'm not going to get any of these guys on comeback. Done at tight end. Wide receiver, I'm waiting. I'm either getting a quarterback or a running back. I'm just going to get Scatterbo. I don't like it though. I don't like it. But there's gotta be back-end production there. But so does there with Tootin. I'm gonna go Scatterbo. Just kind of betting on the Giants hype from earlier in the season, in the preseason, off-season, summer, whatever you want to call it. Giants fans are predominantly upper-class white. They get very hyped on a running back that looks like they think they looked like when they were that age. So the fan base is really crying for Scatterbo. I grew up there. I grew up a Giants fan. So I know what that fan base is like. If anybody's out there and gets offended by what I just said, go look up the stats. Sorry about your luck. Giants fans are in general an elitist group. But 'tis where I grew up, and I grew up a Harry Carson fan. Harry Carson used to come into my father's store before heading off to practice. Harry Carson's daughter went to the elementary school, the private elementary school that my sister also went to. So, yada, yada, yada. I have a Giants connection. So I might as well get their great white hype. There's one more there. If it's a quick one, I'll do it. I have Cam Ward next in the queue. I think I just set this one there. Yeah, this is the one where I was stacking Cam Ward with Ridley and grabbed Spears to complete the team stack. Just gonna grab that there. And I think we'll call it a day from there. Again, quick look at the bottom or top of the draft board I went through earlier. Just because I don't like my face big on camera, it's not that great to look at. I mean, I'm not breaking the camera yet, but we're getting there. All right, so thanks for coming. Thanks for following. Again, I'm going to reiterate this as much as I possibly can. Please let people know I'm out there. I am now on YouTube, you know, after doing 10 years of website, articles, rankings, that sort of thing. And I'm still on wheelrouteff.com. Go visit the site. I will have redraft rankings out, published with a downloadable cheat sheet by tomorrow. Be ready for that. And I will say this, there's going to be a paywall at some point. Get in the Discord, get on the website, download those rankings before I throw up a paywall. I need to go subscription because I need to pay for the website. I need to pay for StreamYard. I need to pay. There's expenses that go along with this. So I need to pass them along. I'm not watched enough to get site credits for things yet. So please like, subscribe, retweet, reskeet, repost, whatever you have to do. Help me out. Appreciate it. Get into the Discord before the paywall goes up. I don't know. I guess that you can't become a member here yet, but when I do put a paywall up, I will have members only streams, that sort of thing. So if you're getting in on the ground floor and helping me out, helping promote me, I'm going to remember, I'm going to know, I'm going to give you promo codes in the future, but help me out. Feed that algorithm with my stuff. Greatly appreciate it. When the show's over, comment. Those comments go further in the algorithm. I really appreciate the assistance in promoting. Can't do it alone, and I'm sitting here quite alone. Oh, if you would like to contribute to the website, let me know. I'm definitely open to that, just to give you a platform to do something on. If you're interested in being ranked by Fantasy Pros in the expert rankings, it takes a year of publishing rankings on a website before they'll consider you, or you have to work for an established website to begin with. Obviously mine's not. So if you want to be in consideration for that, we could certainly, if you want to do rankings, I'll post them all year long. Hit me in the Discord or DM me on Blue Sky. Blue Sky is the app I am on most these days, and that is the other one, wheelrouteff.bluesky.social. Get on Blue Sky, much better than Twitter. Virtually very few bots compared to Twitter. There are some, they're coming over. But ads, like literally no ads. No, scrolling through right now. I'm not paying for anything, not getting any ads. Twitter is just, every other post is an ad of some sort. Can't handle that. And not gonna pay for social media. So get on Blue Sky, follow me there, DM me there if you're interested, or DM me in the Discord, or even you can go to the website and shoot me an email at support@wheelrouteff.com, I believe. Just go on the website and click the little envelope. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.